Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I am your annoying bartender in the OSR who's been doing multiple videos a day because the news won't stop. And with me is none other than Bad Mike Battleato, my once-a-week work spouse. Michael, how are you?
I'm fine. Look, I'm not getting tired of the videos. Just keep them rolling because today I was so busy today. I couldn't keep up with the new WotC press release. Well, you know what I just did? I just switched on over to Tenkar's Tavern and listened to Eric read it out loud and opine on it. And then as a bonus, I got more opining on how hard it is to cancel a D&D Beyond membership. And so,
foolish me, I shared that in the 5e group, and one guy goes, well, you're not showing you interacting with the screen as you try to cancel your subscription, so I don't believe it. I went, first off, it's an email that was forwarded to me, so I don't know what kind of interaction you want me to do with the screen. Unless it's something that
look, there's multiple people saying this is an issue. This is not a made-up story. There's multiple people.
Oh, Mike, it's a made-up issue. Listen, if you're a Wizards of the Coast suck boy, I'm not even gonna say fanboy. We're gonna just use suck. Okay. If your nose is so far up the ass Wizards of the Coast, then you are going to have to say this isn't an issue.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
You listen. If he had that problem, he should just try again later. Just try again later.
Look,
it's okay.
You can love. Look, first of all, this has nothing to do with 5th edition. 5th edition is officially a dead game. Also, 5th edition just joined 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So this is nothing against 5th edition, and this is just a corporate issue. But if you play D&D, you can still love D&D and hate what the company's doing.
Right.
You can absolutely love 5th edition. You can love D&D Beyond it, but you can hate what the company's doing to everybody else. So there's no reason why you have to, and that's the problem of our country nowadays. This has been going on for about 20 years or so, where people are so locked into one side that everything that side does is right and everything the other side does is wrong. And that's just, I'm sorry, man, you got to use some nuance. And as much as you look, you and I both have friends that work for WotC, right? I mean,
yes.
And I'm sure they're having a terrible time too. But we're not going to sit there and call every WotC employee a piece of garbage scumbag, because they're not. They have very little effect on what's happening. This is very,
and that's a huge thing, folks. Okay, because listen, the people that you are going to generally interact with, if you're trying to cancel your account, or if you're reaching out to customer service, or if you're sending, I don't know, gift packages to, Cynthia Williams. The people that you are actually going to be interacting with are people like you, me, Michael, people that I did retail for years, customer service. They're not working for a lot of money, and they're not in the decision-making role of things, okay? Mm-hmm. Trust me on this one. Because even if the person you're including is somebody who may have sat in on a meeting, believe me, I have been in meetings where I was told that my input was important as a sergeant in internal affairs. And guess what? My input was to say that we had somebody from my unit there on paper to make sure.
Look, Eric was here, so it's okay.
Yeah, the answer was accounted for, and they agree with everything that we said. I was like, well,
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
worked retail enough and I worked customer service enough to know that when that person calls or talks to you and starts screaming and telling you they're going to have your job, there's more than once I said, "You're welcome to it, ma'am," or "Sir, you're welcome to take my job. If you think you can take it, go for it." I mean, because it does, that's the ultimate thing you can say. Then you don't got much going on. I'm going to have your job. Okay, well.
Well, I used to listen. I work in retail. Oh, I'm going to get you fired. As a police officer, it was, I pay your salary. And the first person that said that to me was literally in public housing. And I was like, I really kind of doubt that you do much toward paying my salary.
You're going to pay a lot of my salary, the dude.
I appreciate the thought. I really do. Mm-hmm. But let's just.
I'm happy that you think that. I'm happy you think that, but your EBT card says otherwise. Yes.
Yeah, you never know.
Nothing against EBT, so I'm just saying.
But Mike, I got a question for you. Last week,
yes,
we kind of declared Wizards of the Coast as like the kings of 2023 they'd already like knocked down any like possible competition. I didn't think that the possible competition they would have would be themselves. I didn't think that was possible. I was like, you got to be kidding me, because we've all seen the horrible PR attempt from last Friday, right? Where we all won. Mike, we all won. You're saying you won. No, man, we won. We won too, because I want to keep my job, and we won too. I mean, that whole horrible attempt at minimizing everything. But now, and I called it gaslighting. It was really.
Oh yeah, it was. That was. Look, I felt like I was touched by Harvey Weinstein after that, because I mean that's how I felt. You remember when Terry Crews came out and said some high executive felt him up? And I felt like Terry Crews last week, because I felt like they were just sticking their hands down my pants, and I'm like, wait a second, you're feeling me up? No, we're not. No, we're not. No. I didn't do that.
No,
like, yeah, you just did. You just did that. No, I didn't.
It's perfectly natural to touch a young boy.
And
I
just felt like
in Hollywood, this is what we do. I don't understand what your problem.
I felt like the actress getting a call from Harvey Weinstein at 4 a.m. to come to my room because my towel fell off. I mean, that's what I felt like. I'm like, I don't know, Harvey, because it doesn't sound right. No, it's fine. No, you're going to be okay. Okay, all right. I guess I'll come there. Yeah, that's how. But I mean, that was gaslighting 101. Like whatever you thought and believed isn't true. We had no intention of ever stealing your stuff. That's crazy.
You're never crossed my mind. Would I do that to you? Never. Folks, this stuff is up on D&D Beyond. I am going to bring it up on the screen real quick for Mike and I, because I think that you have to see last week's attempt at shoveling the shit before we go.
Did they hire Lanas's press secretary for that? Oh wait, never mind. He doesn't have one.
No. Hey, I'm Mario. I do it all.
I do my own press releases. Can I say something?
No.
I have no sympathy for customer service reps. Let me tell you, when you yell at a customer service rep, you're doing yourself no good. I've been a customer service rep. I'm a huge. You're doing understand because that's what we're there for, is to get vented on. But I just want you to know, as a human being, you are doing no good, and all you're doing is making somebody else's life miserable. That's all you're doing when you yell at a customer rep, because they have no power to do anything or change anything except the powers they've been given. And that's it. And look, most of the time we'll do whatever it takes to get you off the line. So we do the best deal we can. Not to get you off, but to get you off the line. I mean, so if we can offer this, and this, we will. But it doesn't do any good to yell at customer service. It really doesn't. They're just, a lot of times their minimum wage employees are low. And like I said, I've been a customer service rep a huge part of my life. And I knew that the business when I got in, I like helping people. And 98% of the time, if you're nice to somebody that's having a bad day, they apologize by the end of the call and say, I'm really sorry. I'm not mad at you. And you say, I understand, sir. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at, whatever savings alone or this, that. Right. I understand completely. So I just want people to try to be a human being about it. It may do you good to blow off steam, but it's not helping. It's not helping anything to yell at customer service reps or salespeople for that effect. I mean, Eric can tell you that when he worked retail, it's the same thing. Yeah. You're not really helping anything.
Yeah, and I was head of sales, so I was like the manager. I was like a manager without the pay or the title. It was
of course, really I love doing that.
Yeah. So, folks, here is last week's stroke job. I mean, I shouldn't say that word. I already did. Fuck it. This is God. All right, Mike. We're gonna go through this because you have to hear this one.
Yes.
Before you can read and hear today's, because without the one, without hearing last week, you almost go, "Hey, this sounds good," until you realize everything they're not mentioning. So.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Hold on. Let me drink from my Game of Thrones with my blood red wine.
Oh wait, so I told you this, Eric. I got lucky. My liquor store still had a few bottles of this laying around, the Winter Jack, and it was marked down cheap. I don't know what they should. $9.99 a bottle, dude.
Holy shit, man!
I was gonna pick. They had 4 bottles there. I might go back tomorrow and get the other 3 bottles because I've already worked this one down here.
Yeah, no, that's good shit.
That's good stuff. Oh yeah, I love the Winter Jack, man. Good stuff.
All right. Without further ado, from 5 days ago, from the D&D Beyond staff, when we initially conceived of revising the OGL, it was with 3 major goals in mind. By the way, the next version of this stroke job starts out the same way, pretty much. First, we wanted to prevent the use of D&D content from being from being included in hateful and discriminatory products. There's my opinion on that. Second, sorry, I was just channeling my inner Wenger. Second, we wanted to address those attempting to use D&D in Web3, blockchain games, and NFTs by making clear that OGL content is limited to tabletop role-playing content, like campaigns, modules, and supplements. So obviously,
Eric, let me try something.
Yeah.
You remember all those stories we had last year about all the D&D NFTs? Man, that must have been half our shows. We talked about all the problems with NFTs.
The only NFTs I've seen about Hasbro has been Transformers from Hasbro.
Yeah, because this is not a problem. Sorry,
what's a blockchain game anyway? I'm sorry. By the time I get back to the main screen, by the way, folks, I'm not looking at your screen right now. So if you call me names in the comments,
I'm keeping track. I'm keeping track. It's just the usual bunch of knuckleheads.
Can't use it in Web3. What is my blog Web3? I mean, and third, we want to ensure the OGL is for the content creator, the home brewer, the aspiring designer, our players, and the community, not major corporations to use for their own commercial and promotional purpose. Now, I read that, I went, holy shit, they're taking a whack at Wendy's. Because that's the only major corporation, but somebody pointed out they didn't use the OGL. They went copyright. Holy shit. Well, then, you know what that means, right? That means that Kobold, Paizo, Goodman, Frog God, and a few others, Troll Lord. You know what? I guess you didn't realize that you leveled up to major corporations. I didn't see that on your title, but you've apparently reached those levels because those are the only companies that are potentially going to be within their taxable range of royalties they were talking about, 750. By the way, Hasbro was
which they walked back, but they've walked that back. That's all walked back.
Yeah, but they had to do a lot more.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Driving these goals were 2 simple principles. By the way, this comes up again. You can see this in the next thing we're going to read. Our job is to be good stewards of the game. Really? So. By the way, if you love the Brink fan, I think a lot of times the stewards weren't all that great. But in any case. Oh, and actually, Game of Thrones. Think of people that were filling the steward's role in Game of Thrones. And 2, the OGL exists for the benefit of the fans. Nothing about those principles has wavered for a second. What trouble are you causing, Mike? What trouble are you causing? Okay. Let me go back. So now, folks, this is where we get to, I'm gonna go back to saying stroke job because I can't really think of a more appropriate. That was why our early draft of the new OGL included the provisions they did, because we're good stewards of the game, and we care about our fans, right? That draft language, by the way, has been pointed out by attorneys. Every contract is a draft until it's been signed by both parties. So that draft language was provided to content creators and publishers so their feedback could be considered before anything was finalized. No, they were told, sign this, or maybe sign something worse because this is a good contract. This is the one we're offering before everybody else. In addition to language allowing us to address discriminatory and hateful conduct. I heard somebody, I think Mike dropped out for a second. There we go. You're back, Mike. Are you good? Are you wholesome? Can you hear me? Michael cannot hear me. Michael is perturbed or constipated. I cannot tell which one. I should sing, Michael. I should do a tap dance. I guess not. I could put words up on the screen. See, this, folks. This is why I need to get this channel remonetized. It's gonna take another 4 weeks if I had to demonetize. I had to disconnect from AdSense to reconnect my blog, and I can hear Mike, but he can't hear me. That's the amazing part. All right, let's go through the. Michael, can you hear? I can hear. I can hear you. You, I can hear. Yes, but you can't hear me, right? All right, I'll keep on talking until we get Mike back. Oh my God, this is gonna kill me. Don't never scream at your customer service rep. Never curse them out. If you have to be a polite asshole like me. Mike is apparently sending me something that's going to pop up in my messenger. Because I hear him typing. Or is he typing in chat and I haven't gotten to it yet? Sorry, guys. Working to get my sound back. Okay. Fair enough. Hey, Rob. Let Mike know we can hear him. So if he wants to just start talking about anything he wants, he can certainly do so. He's got the winter jack, Bill. All right. Oh yes, given the how does he? Yeah, they added slavery in, but that apparently is not their fault. It happened to be added in. Well, it happened to be added in 2022, but we'll blame the people back in the 80s for that shit. Come on. We've seen misinformation popping up, and we want to address it directly so we can dispel your concerns. Yeah. Why do you in the D&D community feel that D&D belongs to you and not Hasbro IP-wise, other than pointing to the OGL 1.0A? I think we have 22 years of using the OGL 1.0A. I don't think we have to say much more than that. It's kind of like, you told me, you promised me, and then it's like, I'm taking it away from you. They might try plugging his headset in and out. Somebody later on in the chat, can you maybe maybe Mike will see it if I put things up on the screen? Because if I miss my word. But you sound awesome.
Back. I don't know what's wrong. I might just shut the whole thing off and reboot.
Rumors of a $30 subscription fee are false. Ignore the screenshots that are going around the internet. We can hear you, Mike. Boy. Mike. I'm going to point down. You, I can hear.
Yeah.
Do you plug them and unplug them?
Can you hear me, Eric?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay,
I can hear you. You sound amazing.
I'll figure it out.
Amazing, Michael. We love you. Just plug it in, plug it out.
You just keep talking. Everyone wants to hear you talk anyway.
No, they don't.
Keep talking.
No one at Wizards is working on AIDMs. That one, I don't know. But it's quite possible. I know they are certainly moving in that direction. I don't think they'll have it ready in time. We have designers whose job is to compile, analyze, and act upon your feedback. Your feedback has made the game better over the past decade, and your feedback is central to D&D's future. Now I think that. Dun, 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 dun. I heard different noises. I hope Mike is going to get there. A putt's not a knucklehead. All right. Homebrewing is core to D&D Beyond. It's not going away. We're not going to charge you for it. Your homebrew is. The Hatter's Eve was hilarious because the whole slave narrative was made up by current Wizards of the Coast writers. Exactly. And I happen to know Steve Winter. I've met him a number of times at different conventions. Sat down with him. Nice guy. Mike knows him on a more personal level, and Steve, I think, was kind of offended that they blamed the prior generation of creators for something that they themselves did. How much has Wizards of the Coast profited from third-party profit? This goes all the way back to TSR. All right, so
hey,
yeah, Mike,
I'm here. Okay, the problem was my headphones.
I had a feeling.
Because I've been on so many shows this week. Last week, I think I looked at it and my charge is up.
Oh, well, there you go.
So much this week online without charging my headphones. My headphones are messed up, so that's okay. We could do it this way. I've done it this way before. I've had to broadcast from my car before, if you remember correctly, because I had no internet before. So I'm sorry, I missed everything you just said. I assume you were going over the press release here.
I was, but then I started to catch up on the comments. So
did you see the guns comment that Hasbro owes the community? It seems like a lot of people are complaining because they built and they're basically. I think he said earlier is why do people think that
22 years of promises that you can support our material. Because remember, Wizards of the Coast doesn't support D&D like TSR did back in the day. Okay, but TSR
this is a calculated decision, by the way.
Yes.
They talked to Dancy. They did not want to have teams of people writing adventures and writing supplements. This is a really elegant and interesting and actually a really successful decision to do this. It was very successful. Let other people in the community create your content, and it pushes, and you're selling the rules, which are evergreen. Those you can always sell the rules. They're making supplements. If they say make a good supplement, good for them. If they don't, who cares? It's no skin off your nose. It was absolutely brilliant decision.
Yeah, it really was. All right, we'll go back to comments in a few mementos, folks. Let me go back to the stroke job from last week. Okay, again, hateful content and clarifying types of products the OGL covers. Our drafts, now they're saying there's multiple drafts out there, included royalty language designed to apply to large corporations attempting to use OGL content. It was never our intent to impact the vast majority of the community. It's clear we rolled a reaction from the reaction that we rolled a 1. It has become clear that it's no longer possible to fully achieve all 3 goals. So now they're basically saying, folks, it's your fault. They had these 3 lofty goals. They were holy goals. These were amazingly good, strong goals for you. And we can't do it because of your reaction.
How dare you, sir? How dare you ruin our goals? Yes.
Yeah. While still staying true to our principles. So here is what we are doing. First off, we're going to blow smoke up your ass. But secondly, the next OGL will contain the provisions that allow us to protect and cultivate the inclusive environment we are trying to build and specify that it covers only content for TTRPGs. So that means without exceptions such as educational and charitable campaigns, live streams, cosplays, VTT usage, etc., will remain unaffected by any OGL update. In the draft, that was all gone, right?
Oh yeah.
Content already released under 1.0A will also remain unaffected. That's just a repeat of what they're going to say later, but they're going to claim that it's a new update. But in any case, what it will not contain is any royalty structure. Now,
makes sense.
It will also not include the license back provisions that some people were afraid was a means for us to steal your work. That thought never, ever,
crazy talk.
Our minds. That's
crazy fans.
Crazy talk. Come on. Under any new OGL, you will own the content you create. You owned it under the old OGL 2.0 and 1.1. That was the drafts. You just didn't retain the rights to it. You owned it. It was yours. But they could do whatever they wanted with it. Irrevocably into.
Well, I own my car, but they could come take my car whenever they want to and drive it around the block or down South Padre Island or New Jersey.
Right.
But I own the car, so I mean it's my car.
They can use it for Uber, and then give it back to you with an empty tank. There you go, and a flat. Thank you.
But still my car.
Yeah. Any language we put down will be crystal clear and unequivocal on that point. Again, that's not helping. The licensed back language was intended to protect us and our partners from creators who incorrectly allege that we steal their work simply because of coincidental similarities, because we would never steal your work. Never. We produce so much work, we never have to. As we continue to invest in a game that we love and move forward with partnerships in film, television, and digital games, that risk is simply too great to ignore. Folks, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, the TTRPG aspect of D&D is a liability for them right now. This is a liability for their main money makers, and they don't see this as that. What we saw was an attempt to make this a bit of a money maker, to make it relevant to the business structure. That's not going to happen. The new OGL will contain provisions to address that risk, but we will do it without a license back and without suggesting we have the rights to the content you create. They didn't suggest it. They told you flat out. Your ideas and imagination are what makes this game special, and that belongs to you. But you just... By the way, what they're not addressing here, which they will address later, is reporting at 50,000. You got to report your income if you make 50,000 or more. Why would you need to report your income if you're not hitting the royalty mark? Mike, do you know why? Because I think you know why.
I don't know.
They want to know what's hot. They want to know what's
they're going to use you for marketing.
You're getting all that marketing for free because you're going to submit your receipts. Wow. Did you know that undead trolls are apparently a hot... We need to make an adventure with undead trolls. Look, it's selling. A couple of last thoughts. We won't be able to release a new OGL today. No shit. Because we need to make sure we get it right, but it's coming. Second, you're going to hear people say that they won. Nothing in here tells me that anybody won. And we lost because making your voices heard forced us to change our plans. Those people will only be half right. They won, and so did we.
My favorite line, the whole that's a classic.
They won.
I may have that on my. I may put that on my gravestone. They won, and so did I.
Yeah. Now this is where the bullshit gets really deep. You may need to put on waiters, because our plan was always to solicit the input of our community before any update to the OGL, which is why we offer these draft quote OGLs to our special partners under an NDA back in December. But we would let you know later and include you in the conversation after we already had our senior partners signed up on this obviously horrible deal. No, that's a bullshit. That is such a gaslighting. Ugh. The drafts you've seen were attempting to do just that. The drafts that we've seen were leaks from signed contracts. So this wasn't Wizards of the Coast going, hey, let's see what people are going to say about this. This was a publisher taking it on the ass and saying, I'm going to sign this contract, and it's going to be the death of my company, or maybe my company is small enough. I wanted to get out of the business anyway. Let me just sign this contract so I can put it in the hands of people who care. We want to always delight fans and create experience together that everyone loves, that makes us money. We realize we did not do that this time, and we are sorry for that. We're only sorry that you got to see the OGL early. That's the only sorry we're about. But, we'll
It reminds me of one of those. We're sorry because you're offended.
Yes. Our goal. All right.
Caught us. Huh?
This is another one you want framed. Our goal was to get exactly the type of feedback on which provisions worked and which ones did not.
Mm-hmm.
We actually wanted people to cancel their D&D Beyond accounts because that plus is that's good feedback. Any change this major could only have been done well if we were willing to take that feedback, no matter how it was provided. I'm guessing some hate mails, some angry emails, lots of people on social media, on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for caring enough to let us know what works and what doesn't, what you need and what scares you. That is so condescending. That is such a line of shit. If I was a publisher reading that, I'd be like, what I need and what scares me? What I need is a fucking OGL that was in place to stay in place. Anything less than that, without knowing that, we can't do our part to make the new OGL match our principles. This, again, is, in my opinion, a very telling line because it's not about you. It's not about the consumer. It's not about the game player. It's not about their community. It's the principles of the executive staff that put this OGL together and the purpose behind it. That's the only principles they're concerned about. That's it. Finally, we'd appreciate the chance to make this right. We love D&D's devoted players and the creators who take them on so many incredible adventures. We won't let you down. That was such a horrible piece of bullshit PR. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I need a drink. All right, Mike, talk for a little bit as I catch up on the comments, and then we'll read today's update, which is, I guess, less
competent.
Yeah.
That is an actual adult human being.
Mike, you got some pausing going on.
I'm okay on my end.
Folks, let me know if I catch up to the last 15 minutes of commentary, whether or not Mike is freezing on your end.
I'm okay on my end.
Wow, I only just now caught up to Mike trying to fix his sounds. Hey, Rob. So, Mike and I have, especially my case, I have been living and breathing this bag of OGL glop for the last week. Is it? I guess so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not advocating for the devil, Mr. Gunn. I'm just advocating for Mr. Oh, I guess Bad Mike is the devil. All right. Do you feel that Hasbro really owes the community? It seems like a lot of people are complaining because they built their business on somebody else's IP. Devil's advocate over here. If you tell me I can build over here and use your tools and you're happy with it because you're getting to build your stuff because I'm improving the neighborhood, and then you come along and say, yeah, I know I said you could use it forever, but and today's forever and a day, and forever's up. I got to take it back. But I know that wasn't your business plan for me to take this back. You're too big. You're too big. You could get in my way. I could trip on you as I try to make money.
It was a symbiotic relationship, okay? Both sides benefited. And honestly, I 5th edition would not have the type of popularity it has now without all the third-party publishers out there producing third-party work because, frankly, the stuff that WotC's produced on their own isn't very good and hasn't been very good for a while. And a lot of their stuff they produce, like stuff like Tales of the Yawning Portal, all it is reprinting old modules for 5e. So, I mean, there's that's not a creative endeavor. That's just a reprint and of going back to 40-year-old material since you're so bereft creative, you can't think of your own stuff, and we're going to redo the Giant series again, but 5th edition this time. They have done very little that's publishable worthy on their own. The best 5th edition stuff is all third party stuff.
Yeah. No, that Mike, that is it. And I think part of it is that they know it. They know that the better material is coming from third party, and if you had to publish it through the DMs Guild or pay royalties on your Kickstarters, then they wouldn't be so upset. But otherwise, there's an issue. And I'm giving up, folks. Here, Evil Cheese, you're the last comment, right? We're caught up. Hi, Kitty. Don't. Okay, thank you for not stepping on my keyboard. All right, so I'm going to take this one down. Oh, another kitty.
Whoa! I want to see your kitty. Look, there's Tenkar right there. Tenkar. No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. So that was a really sloppy shitstorm. I mean, really. I mean, I can't. So today, and I didn't expect this, but today, they tried a different tack. Last week it was we're going to give this official response to this, and well, our professional PR guys, are going to make their money today. They don't understand gaming, but they understand PR. We gave them a few choice words to use. Didn't work. So now we have Kyle Brink, the executive producer on D&D. It's my team that makes the game we all play. D&D has been a huge part of my life long before I worked for Wizards and will be for a long time after I'm done. He's personalizing it. Come on, it's you and me. We're sitting at the table in your dining room. We're playing D&D. We're rolling dice. You did it. I did it. Come on. We're all in this together. My mission to have the entire D&D team is to help bring everyone the creative joy and lifelong friendships that D&D has given us. These past few days and weeks have been incredibly tough for everyone. As players, fans, and stewards of the game, there are certain phrases they feel they need to repeat. These, and it's not the only one here, but this is one of them. Stewards of the game. It gives us the authority. The game isn't owned by the community. It's not a community game. We're the stewards. You fucking listen. We will tell you. We can't and we won't let things continue like this. I am here today to talk to you about a path forward. First, though, let me start with an apology. We are sorry we got it wrong. I give credit for that. Too little, too late, but I give credit. Kind of like when your child apologizes 5 days later. Little too late, but our language and requirements in the draft OGL. Again, repeating that phrase, draft OGL. We all know, technically, any contract that isn't signed is a draft. But calling it a draft OGL is a misnomer. It was from a signed contract. This is trying to make it sound like, oh, this wasn't real. Nobody signed this. Somebody signed it.
Mm-hmm.
Our language and requirements in a draft OGL were disruptive to creators and not in support of our core goals of protecting and cultivating an inclusive play environment. That is what? That's the same thing they were talking about before, but they're not going to come out and mention it outright. This is the morality clause. Okay? And limiting the OGL to tabletop RPGs. Then we compounded things by being silent for too long. We hurt fans and creators. When more frequent and clear communications could have prevented so much of this. There was no communication until last Friday. There was nothing. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, sorry, there was. We heard your questions. We're going to be back with you shortly. Starting now, we're going to do this in a better way, more open and transparent with our entire community of creators, with the time to iterate, to get feedback, to improve. If this sounds familiar, I don't know. It's because it's how we do it for the game itself. So let's do it that way for the OGL too. We'll listen to you, and then we will share with you what we heard. By the way, listening and hearing are two different things. Language means something. What they hear and what you say is not going to necessarily be the same thing. We're not going to say, and we'll share with you what you said, or we'll feed that back. No, they're going to hear what they want to hear. Language is important. Much like we do in our Unearthed Arcana and one D&D playtest. This will be a robust conversation before we release any future version of the OGL. Here's what to expect. On or before Friday, January 20th, we'll share a new proposed OGL documentation for your review and feedback, much as we do with playtest materials. So they are playtesting the OGL. It went from we are trying to put third parties out of business to let's play test it with our gaming community. After you review the proposed OGL, you will be able to fill out a quick survey, much like the Unearthed Arcana playtest feedback surveys. It will ask you specific questions about the document, include open form fields to share any feedback you have. I am quite sure there won't be any questions about the 1.0A OGL. If there is, Mike, what's the penalty? If I get this wrong, what's the penalty?
I don't know. I can't think of anything worth.
All right, somebody in the chat, something that's not going to make me like throw up on screen, but let's figure out what the penalty.
You could do another exercise session in a leotard, but that's for us. That's
that's I have to raise money. I got
my brain and my eyes. So I mean,
we'll figure out something. The survey will remain open at least for 2 weeks, and we'll give you advance notice before close, so everyone can participate in the survey. And then we will compile, analyze, react to, and present back what we heard from you. By the way, this is such corporate speak; it pains me to read it. I mean,
it's nothing surprising. It's not surprising.
Finally, you deserve some stability and clarity. We are committed to giving creators both input into and room to prepare for any update to the OGL. We'll give you time, but you're not going to like it. Also, there's a ton of stuff that isn't going to be affected by an OGL update. So today, right now, we'll lay out all the areas that this conversation won't touch. Any changes to the OGL will have no impact on at least these creative efforts. Your video content, remember your video content was, you had to get your own contract. I mean, if I wanted to make commentary on D&D, according to them, I'd have to have a contract. Whether you're a commentator, streamer, podcaster, live play cast member, or other video creator on platforms like YouTube and Twitch and TikTok, you have always been covered by the Wizards fan content policy. The OGL doesn't and won't touch any of this. So I mentioned that earlier. Apparently, the Wizards fan content policy allows you to sell ads and sponsorships so long as your content isn't behind a paywall. All right. Your accessories for your own content, no changes to the OGL, will affect your ability to sell minis, novels, apparel, dice, and other items related to your creations, characters, and worlds. Non-published works. For instance, contracted services. The OGL, you use the OGL if you want to publish a work that references 5th edition through the SRD. This means commissioned work, paid DM services, consulting, and so on aren't affected by the OGL. That didn't even come up in any of the OGLs that we saw leaked. But okay. VTT content. By the way, folks, there is a YouTube channel called Gooey Cube. I think it's an underwatched channel. He's been doing some very good, honest perspective from a marketing view. And he pointed out here too, VTT content, any updates to the OGL will still allow any creator to publish content on VTTs and will still allow VTT publishers to use OGL content on that platform. It says nothing about royalties or fees or any kind of charges, right? By not addressing that, you can likely assume at some point that'll probably be part of it. DM's Guild content. DM's Guild is its own agreement, its own rules, its own contract. not changing. Another one where words mean something. Your OGL 1.0A content. Nothing will impact any content you have published under the OGL 1.0A.
Mm-hmm.
That will always be licensed under OGL 1.0A, which means what? It means that according to this, you doesn't let you know whether you can support the material, but since they didn't say you could, it likely means that you can no longer publish new material under 1.0A.
It does offer a bit of a life preserver because up until now, most companies aren't sure if they could sell their backstock.
I know.
And so this seems to say, yeah, you can sell your backstock still. Now, obviously, they're not going any farther than that. They're not saying you can reprint older stuff, you can make new stuff, whatever. They're just basically saying, look, we know that you have backstock, you can sell your backstock. I mean, that's just the minimum I would expect them to have done. And honestly, it is a bit, like I said, it's a piece of a life preserver. It's not a life preserver. It's a piece of one to companies.
It is now. I would like to see the clarification. Now they've already told you that OGL stuff 1.0 good. It's not going to be in that survey. They're saying here OGL content won't be in that survey. All right, I dodged the bullet on that one. But what they're also saying here, which is, in my opinion, annoying, or they're not saying, is what if you have PDFs? Like I can sell the physical book. Can I still sell the PDF to the blight? It's old content, sure, but that's huge.
Let me explain that just for a second, Eric. So, for instance, we have product, Frog God. This is the example I'll give you because I know. For instance, we don't have any more copies of Slumbering Czar, or I don't know. At this point, Rapid Ethics. We're out of Rapid Ethics, Swords and Wizard versions. You can still buy the PDFs. That's the only way it's still in print is through the PDFs. And we have 22 years of material that a lot of it, the only way you can get it is PDF because it's been out of print for 10 years. That's where the concern comes, because a lot of that stuff goes into humble bundles. It's a huge part of sales is older PDFs. Yeah. We get people time that getting into gaming. I mean, people like us that have been in gaming forever, we don't understand that every day somebody plays their first game. They're like, wow, hey, I heard about a dungeon, Rapid Ethics. Well, nobody has it. And no one has a copy, but they want $250 for it. That's crazy. Oh, I can go to the Frog God site and buy the PDF. That's where the problem comes with the PDFs. Is if you don't know what's going to happen with those, that is the history of your company right there. And it's not just us; it's every company. Company has PDFs of material that's now out of print.
Well, hey, let's take that one step further. Every company has print, or nearly every company has print on demand of product, right? If I wanted to put this up under the 1.0 OGL, and after my initial, 150 copies, it goes print on demand. Guess what? According to Wizards of the Coast, it's possible that I couldn't do print on demand, so be 150 copies, and can't sell you PDFs, so it's a dead system. They're throwing a bone, and at the same time, they're kicking the dog in the nuts.
But it sounds to me like they're trying to come up. They're still working on this. They're trying to come up with a very specific set of circumstances where you can print, but under these conditions, or you can sell under these conditions because the easiest thing to do, Eric, would be to say the OGL 1. Okay, this is the easiest thing to do. This would be the easiest thing to do. If they didn't come out and said this, we would have had a problem, which would have been the OGL. The old OGL is still in place. We're whatever. However, if you want to publish new material, we're coming up with a new OGL. This will be used for D&D Next or Beyond or whatever from here on out. You can still publish whatever you want under the old OGL, and whatever, you're okay with that. But anything new, you have to get a license from us, and you have to get. That would have been the easiest thing to do. But the problem is that would have left a lot of competition out there. A lot of people putting out competing material, and they're petrified that the same thing that happened with Paizo Pathfinder 3.5 would happen to them again, which is we had an extremely successful system that was doing really well. We abandoned it for a new system that flopped, and the people who took over caretaking of the old system were rich beyond our wildest dreams. Because for those who remember, Paizo outsold D&D for 2 or 3 years there because people were so invested in that. They're petrified because 5e was, and will be is still a very, very popular role playing system. It's sold more copies than any other of the game ever in the history of the game. 5e is absolutely, the pinnacle of what D&D is. They're petrified. They're scared that, because that would be the absolute they'd be the laughing stock of gaming if they did this again. Because it happened to them once with 3.5 and Paizo. If it happened to them again, they would be the laughing stock of gaming. Because you had the golden goose, you killed it again because you're so stupid. Nobody wants to play D&D Beyond. Nobody wants to pay $30 membership fees. Nobody wants to get whatever. You're so dumb. I can't believe you did it. The easiest thing for them to do then is just eliminate the ability for anybody to ever do that again. And that's what this is. It's trying to eliminate that for anybody ever trying to publish a clone or anything that resembles 5e, because 5e is still a successful system. You'll see 5e played. 5e's all the other editions now, like at NTRPG Con. People would be playing 5e for years. It's a great system that lots of people love. A whole generation grew up on it. Eric, there's a whole generation that all they know is 5e.
Oh, that's God, yeah.
Because it was around that long. It was around 10 years or however long. It's been around so long that is what they grew up on. That's what they know. That's what they want to play.
By the way, Peter Pham, great comment. Why is everything Wizards of the Coast is saying sounds like an abusive husband apologizing to a battered wife trying to get back together? Usually in front of the cop.
You're way back on the comments. Oh, no, it's true. Well, look, this is Gaslight 101. Now at least, okay, I'll say, are we through with the comment yet? Because
I'm almost caught up.
Let's push it and I'll rant for a while.
Rant for a while. When I say I'm almost caught up, I'm within 10 minutes. Okay,
because look, this was at least written by an adult human being who knows marketing somewhat. Because before it was written by some flunky who they just said, look, it's the weekend. We got to get something out. We're getting hammered. Don't say anything, but say something. We both, whatever. It was awful. So this one at least has a week of time, and somebody who actually knows what they're doing actually wrote a reply that still didn't really say anything. And so this is Eric, you know union stuff, right? You had to mix it with the union when you're with the police department.
Oh my God, yes.
When you do union contracts, the strategy for both sides is to come in, demand something they're never going to get, like something like we're the pipe fitters union. We want every weekend off, and we stop work at 5. We get paid overtime, and we want all days plus any days that Native Americans celebrate. I mean, you come in with these ridiculous demands, right? Because what you're going to do is you're willing to pull them back. You're going to pull back and make it look like reasonable. Okay, eliminate 3, 4, 5, and 10. But the other side does the same thing. What you do. You get something, the other guy gets something, everybody leaves happy. Now, who's probably not happy is the workers, because they get screwed no matter what. They're always going to get screwed. Okay. But everybody else comes in with these crazy demands, and that's what this was. They came out with this insane plan that we're going to take all your revenue. You can't broadcast anymore, and so they're trying to look like they're the good guy because they're going to pull back a little bit. We're wrong on that.
You can do pantomimes again. Come on, we'll take away pantomimes. Jeez.
Because they came in, they gave you the worst case scenario. Now they're pulling back a little bit. And because I saw people posting on this. Well, look, they're being reasonable now. No, they're not. They're still not being reasonable because their initial position was so far over reasonable, it was ludicrous. So they're pulling back now. They're still not to the point where people can say, okay, that's a reasonable position. But look, it's a negotiating tactic. Companies do this. This is what they do. They come out with something ludicrous. They hope that you scream and cry about it, and they pull back and hope they get attaboys and pats on the back. Oh, look, that they're they pull that we don't have to pay these crazy prices anymore if we sell over. No. Look, those are probably never. Now, look, they tried to push that. This is why I know they're lying, because those drafts weren't drafts. Those are not drafts. They asked people to sign those. The fact that nobody signed them, I don't know if it bothered them that much. It might have surprised them a little bit, but the fact that nobody signed them I don't know if they expected anybody to actually sign them, or if that was just a hardcore coming at it from,
my understanding is that when it came to the negotiations for those that were behind the NDA wall, the only part that was open to negotiation was the amount of royalties paid over $750.
Right. You can negotiate royalty payments. Everything else, we still own your IP. We still this, that, but you can negotiate royalty payments.
So, and for this license back, as they're calling it, you own your product, but we gain all the rights to it, and we don't have to compensate you for it if we use it. You are literally putting yourself in a situation where, if you're a company like Frog Guide, you could lose the Lost Lands and Rapid. They can just reprint it.
I think somebody said it best, Eric, because I saw some people say this. Creative that would actually sign to that actually had skin in the game. I could see someone signing that doesn't really care, but anybody out there has success, nobody will sign that because nobody's giving up IP. No, it's just not going to happen. There's nothing they could offer you that would pay for your IP. So it was never going to get signed. Like I said, I don't understand. I don't know. That's the only thing is I don't know if they really thought it was going to be and they were surprised, or if they figured that was going to happen and that's part of their plan. Is that nobody's going to sign it anyway. But yeah, to pretend like that was just a draft. We're just throwing it out there. We're just joking, man. We're just joking.
It wasn't for reals.
Look, you have sources. I have sources. My sources tell the same thing your sources did. Those were not drafts. Those were final contracts to be signed. And when I don't know how much I can say. When asked is there anything we could change here, they were pretty much like, we'll do some marketing for you.
I heard that too. Yeah. Well, but there's blackout periods to the marketing. So when we're actually putting our stuff out, we can't market your stuff. So you better time your stuff around our stuff.
Nobody was going to ever sign that, and so that's why, like, I'm not sure if they were serious with that or if that was just a negotiation. The whole thing is to get you. Oh, well, that's reasonable. They're finally being reasonable,
right?
And I'm not saying this is Eric because I've seen this in forums. People are like, "Well, look, they're being reasonable now. They're giving you. They took away those horrible royalty payments, and you get your IP back now. I mean, they're being absolutely reasonable." And that's what they want you to think.
Right. This is that's always been a tactic. By the way, Joe, interesting. If Doomcock is talking to OGL right now, I'll have to catch this later.
That's the kind of stuff they don't see. That's what's great about the last week. This is the kind of stuff that I don't think they thought was going to happen that has really upended them. Even if they didn't think anybody was going to sign their onerous contracts, I don't think they thought this would get this far because
no.
And Eric and I have talked about this before, that they're used to dealing with different fans. Our RPG fans are different. They're not video game fans. They're not comic book fans, other fans. They're just different. They're just a different breed. And I don't think they were ready for this pushback. I really don't.
No. Oh, certainly not.
Now, I don't know if it's necessarily done a lot of damage because I saw the sources that I saw said that, 40,000 people cancel their membership. Well, they have like what? 8 million. I mean, so yeah, 4,000.
How many of them are paying customers? The ones that are leaving are the paying customers.
And there's probably people cover free accounts. I don't know how much financial damage it did to them. It doesn't look good, and I have long averred, at least for the last few weeks, that they do not want to celebrate the 50th anniversary of D&D, which is next year, by having to answer a question every single article and every single interview. What about the fans that are really pissed off at you? I will tell you, they don't want to do that. They don't want to have to do that for the 50th anniversary. That is the only good thing that has come out of this is they may try to make nice just because they don't want to have to answer that question. They don't want every article in Bloomberg and Forbes and LA Times to be about
Fox Business. Yesterday, The Motley Fool. The Motley Fool is about the best investing newsletter you're going to find. When this hits their radar and they're like, ooh. And they're geeky enough that they can make the right references, too, during the article. So, I mean,
that's what they don't want. They don't want, but wine and roses. They do not want it to be, well, there's a small disgruntled group that is upset about the way you handle stuff. They don't want to have to answer that question. They don't want every article to have a paragraph about it. That is where this has been good, and that's hit them where where it really counts, is because I think that was the big mistake, is I don't think they thought people would be this outspoken about it. Yeah,
Right.
they didn't think people were going to like it. No, nobody was going to like it. Obviously, people were going to like it, but other hobbies, when things happen, they just they've rolled over a lot of times. They're going to charge us more for this, so let's pay more. No big deal.
I'm gonna go back to recommending that channel before, Gooey Cube. I listened to him tonight before the show, and he pointed out that influencers are the part of marketing that it seems like a lot of companies haven't quite caught up to. And and the fact that YouTubers can go out and they can talk about this, and then I talk about it, and then GooeyTube talks about it, and then Roll for Attack, talks, and everybody starts talking about it, and it starts controlling the algorithm on YouTube. And when you log into YouTube, it pops up in your stream, even if you weren't thinking about it, just because you checked out a gaming product like 2 months ago.
Right.
And they're not ready for that. They weren't prepared for that. And I think that is something that's amazing. Listen, I'm not gonna say. Listen, I've gained amazing traffic during the last week. I'm very thankful for it. I'm grateful for it, and everybody who's joined in. And we have 57 in the live stream now. I think we hit like 62 earlier tonight. I mean, and
nothing to do on a Wednesday night. That's the great thing about having this show on Wednesday night. When you proposed Wednesday night, I kind of poo-pooed you, but you're right, because nobody's doing anything.
No, we're not interrupting anybody's games or TV. If you're watching TV, whatever. No sport. It's not football, But
no, we got it. Yeah, we're not up against anybody Wednesday night. It's a great idea.
And I'm doing this great traffic. I'm not even monetized at the moment, because to fix my blogger's connection to AdSense, I had to deactivate AdSense, which now put me in a 30-day window to wait to get AdSense back on YouTube. I don't care.
What money you could be.
That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is I'm getting the word out, I'm getting the voice out, and as a community, we're having influence. So, I mean, take the time to do so.
I want to say something real quick. Somebody mentioned in there about idiot fans, which I agree with. So, one of the things I've had to do over the past couple of weeks is explain both the OGL and what WotC is doing to people who don't have a clue. And I will say something. Typically on the internet, when you try to explain your position, it doesn't work. Which is why I've pretty much stopped doing it in almost every case. But I have gotten a lot of people change their minds by explaining, because a lot of people don't understand what the OGL is and what WotC is doing. If you take the time to explain to somebody, they're almost universally like, "Oh man, that sucks. That's bad." They don't understand it right now, and that's look. I love normies jumping on board and being all outraged also, but a lot of them don't understand the stakes and don't understand what's going on here. And I've had to explain to a lot of people, and I've talked about this before, Eric, too. One of my pet peeves is, well, I got all my books here. It doesn't affect me. I'm going to play D&D the same as I always was. That's, to me, is like you're sitting here. There's a fire in your neighborhood. Your neighbor's house is burning down. You're like, well, my house is fine. Yeah. I don't fire over here.
My house is brick. Okay. I was smart, man. My house is brick. I don't got none of those wooden houses. What, you need my hose? Yeah, that cost me water.
You're gonna if this went through like it was going to go through at the very beginning, you would have hundreds of creatives lose their jobs and dozens of companies have to shut down. That's how bad it was at the beginning. Now it's gotten a little better because they're resourceful, and they're like Matt Finch is sitting there like, okay, I'm just going to rewrite my whole game. Or they're like Black Flag. Okay, I'm going to create a SRD for a brand new game. We're all going to be under. That's the great thing about gamers is in a week they've been able to, because look, we what are we? We're gamers. We think on our feet fast. When we have a problem, we figure out how to beat that problem. That's what these guys did in 2 weeks. They figured out, okay, here's our problem. How do we beat the problem? If it weren't for that, we'd be the industry would be in horrible trouble. And like I said, and I said this on another post too, people don't get rich making games. Eric and I know this. Look, there's maybe half a dozen to a dozen people in this industry that actually have money, what I would call real money. Everybody else has a second job, or this is a side hustle, right? They're just making money. They're not really making money at all. They just want to write for games. So when you say you're going to take away, I don't know, $400 a month, that means a lot to some people, especially during a recession, which I'm sorry we're in. If you don't think we're in a recession, we are. And $500 a month, $400 a month, that matters a lot to some people. It really does. And when you say you're going to take that money away, that's not right. That's what you need. When you talk to people about the OGL, explain that. Explain this. Look, I know it's not bothering your game, but are you a human being? Because human beings, you care about other human beings. And people are losing their job, are going to lose their jobs and lose their livelihood. So yeah, I don't like the whole, well, I just play 1E and I don't care about any of this other shit. Well, screw you. You're a social to say is that, you have to be compassionate as a human being. Come on.
So now, in place of the OGL, okay, there is talk of ORC. ORC is a replacement license that is being worked on by a coalition of publishers. I've heard, listen, the line starts with Paizo, and I've heard that even Alexander Macris is involved in the process. Mm-hmm. If Alex is involved in the process, I think, firstly, I've spoken with two people who are very involved in the process of creating the ORC license. Neither one told me that my conversation was private, but neither one also said, hey, yeah, go ahead and share it to the world. So I'm going to not quite share my sources, but I will say they're very important, and there are people that are very influential in how ORC is going to go, and both of them do not believe in politicizing ORC, and by putting a morality clause in, that would be politicizing it. But if they're
nobody saw the morality clause.
Yeah. But if Alex is involved in this, if Alex Macri is involved in the ORC license and them coming together and getting a license they can all agree on, I feel very comfortable. Personally, that's my take.
He's a very smart man. He gets a bad rap because he worked for Milo for a year. Talk to him. He regrets it. But he signed a contract. He had to work the contract out. He wishes he didn't work for Milo for a year. But he gets a bad rap because of that. He's a smart dude. He is a smart guy. He really is. And if he's on board with this, then that's a good deal. I wanted to go back to one thing you mentioned that you and I talked about, Eric, was the morality clause. And that you and I had talked about that. So a lot of people, I saw Matt Finch was asked today, is the new Swords and Wizards going to have a morality clause? And he said, no. And I don't think, look, we didn't need a morality clause for 22 years. Nobody needs a morality clause. Why? Because if you have something that doesn't match the morals of people, it gets pushed off to the side. Nobody cares about it. Nobody buys it. It's not that popular. You don't need all morality clause is a way to boot people out that you don't like. Whether it, right. And it's a double-edged sword too, because look, if you think everybody left, 3 years from now they could all be right-wing, meat-eating, conservatives, and then what they decide morality clause is totally different. So these are not good things to have because they can be abused. Whoever's in charge can abuse these things.
Right. They're open to interpretation. By the way, Rob
sure.
corrected me via Discord. Alex is not involved in it. He did speak with Eric Mona, but he's not involved in the process. I apologize. I got my information from. Did I say it?
Yeah, I had heard that also. So, but I trust Rob.
Did I hear that DM's Guild will also remove older edition material? There can only be one D&D. I had not heard that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. They make that some of their best sellers are the classics. The gold, adamantium, mithril. If they're going to remove it, they're not going to remove it before one D&D releases because they need.
You made a good point. I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm on a little bit of a tight delay here, so I gotta kind of wait for you to stop and then start again. I don't know if something wrong with my internet or what, but sorry about that. But I was just saying, Gunn said one can argue, just like YouTube, Facebook, Etsy, if you build your own business using these tools, you may get screwed because they'll have it. Sure. And one of the biggest things that most marketers will tell you is build your own platforms. That way you can't be shut down if something happens. And some of the biggest people that have been kicked off YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff, that's exactly what they did. They went and formed their own platform, and now they're doing great. So there is something to be said for that. But that's like saying, okay, let's shut the barn. The barn already burned down. Let's shut the door. That's great. I mean, I wish people have been saying that 3 years ago. Hey, you guys that are all creating stuff with the OSR, you better be careful, because nobody was saying that, Gun. I mean, and that's the problem, is nobody, because everybody was assured by the people in charge and everybody that knew anything that they are not. Look, even if they create a new edition of D&D, it's going to be backwards compatible. The OGL, it's perpetual. It's going to be still going to be there. Literally saw this coming. They really did. No one saw this coming. And look, there's an old school gamer I know that back in like 2006 was like, I'm not creating anything for the OGL because they could shut it down anytime. And I saw the other day, he was like, oh, see what I told you, they shut it down. Yes, 16 years later, you're right. I mean, come on. That's like me saying every year the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I might be right eventually, right? I mean, one day, and then I can say, oh, see, I told you the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. There they are. They won. See, well, maybe that's a bad example. That might be a bad example.
I don't know if there's, you know what? So leave my Jets alone. But listen, I had that argument with Frank Metzner.
Oh, that's who I was talking about. Well, there you go.
Well, I was just
exactly. No, and I don't think Frank would mind us mentioning him.
I had that argument on my blog. Yeah, I had that argument.
He would say that, but the problem is, he said that 16 years ago, and he kept saying it every year. Well, they're eventually going to be right, probably. That doesn't help any of us now, is the whole problem. Oh, by the way, did you see my Cowboys beat the shit out of Tom Brady the other day?
Oh my God, that was the only big game of the weekend.
Wow, that was a game of the weekend. Anybody that doesn't like Tom Brady, that was a great game. If you don't like Tom Brady, because he looked really, really bad. You know what? He may be a quarterback of the Jets next year. You never know. So,
the Jets are. Listen, we had Favre at the end of his days. You know, of course. Brett Favre.
Did you actually have Favre for a season? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, we had
Favre.
Oh
my God, I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that.
No, we did. We had him because, it's like, hey, are your legs failing? Go to the Jets.
I got to look up his record with the. Oh, well, here's the first article says Favre was better with the Jets than you remember. So there we go. That's how bad the Jets quarterback situation has been since Joe Namath left. That Favre was probably one of their better quarterbacks, right? I don't know. I have to read this article later. How funny. I'd forgotten all about it. Oh, my.
The Jets had him. Come on. We had like Michael Vick when Vick was, what's an incident amongst a few dogs fighting?
So he abused some animal. He could still run. I mean, come on, Yeah, that was anyway. That was. I look, as much as I think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback there lived. That was so satisfying to just absolutely. The Cowboys had beaten him since he the Patriots. So didn't beat the guy. So that was satisfying on that account, that we finally just showed him that he was 45 years old and you need to get off the field, bro.
Mr. Gunn is
45. Leave.
Mr. Gunn's argument. So should we allow an SS-based tabletop RPG when you get XP for killing certain individuals? My argument, and I this is coming from the guy who's like, oh, Tenkar is pro-censorship because he had an RPG removed from drive-thru for a political statement. No, they were using a sales page to make a political statement. If it was in the goddamn game, I wouldn't give a shit. But here's the thing. The market will determine what sells and what doesn't. Okay? If you write a game like that, your market is going to be very small and probably won't be sold through game stores, but it will likely be sold through more localized channels. And guess what? I don't think they're going to worry about using an open game license with that. I don't think that's going to be their concern. So I understand.
And what you said, like, create your own platforms. That's kind of what's happening now, I guess, is everybody's like, we do need, this is something that probably should have been looked at a few years ago. And people should have been more ready for it because it could have happened. And some of the warning signs were there. I admit it. I missed them. Eric missed them. We all missed them. There was some warning signs there that we talked about here and there. Ray Winnegar getting fired was a huge. We should have paid a lot more attention to that. At the time, we just thought, "Oh, that's weird." Ray got fired, huh? and now we're hearing that he was fired. I mean, he said this is a stupid idea, a terrible idea, and they said see you later. So we probably should have paid a lot more attention to that. I mean,
We should have.
But now that's what's going to happen now is people are going to create their own platforms, and the sad part of it is that we had 22 years of extremely unified hobby. Eric and I remember the days back before 2000. A lot of the old timers do too, when every game was its own separate entity. You know, you had your Shadowrun, your Skunk, and your Call of Cthulhu, and your D&D. Everything was separate. It was all separated. And then when the OGL came, it was great. It opened up the hobby. It made D&D number one. D&D pushed back all the competitors. I mean, because it was really in the dumps during 2E. When the company shut down for 7 months and nothing being published, it was really the lowest point the company had ever been. This brought it back. I mean, whole companies like Necromancer Games, Atlas, Fast Forward Entertainment, they all formed.
Two out of three.
I know, but I'm just saying they formed just to get 3E material out there. AEG, I mean, all these companies. That's how they started, because they started doing all the stream material. So, I mean, it was this huge benefit to have everything under one roof. You're just going to go back to the way it was in, let's say, 1990, when everything wasn't under one roof. And you really couldn't put out a D&D clone, because you get a C&D from TSR saying, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you?
And I assume that some marketing guy or bean counter made a mental estimation that we're going to lose X amount of people, and we're going to lose X amount of companies, we're going to lose X amount of this, but we're going to make up for it, because we're going to charge $30, $30 a month for D&D Beyond membership. It's going to be fine.
Pay it. Come on.
All
the cool kids are paying it. John Gus, you can't copyright game mechanics, and OGL ORC isn't a genuine license. You're right. You can't copyright game mechanics. However, you can copyright presentation. You can copyright terms and terminology. So there are certain parts that are certainly open to use, and we can look at people like Jeremy Crawford, Stars Without Number, Worlds Without Number. He has a whole series of releases. Silent Legion. Yes, there's ways around it. Yes, he is obviously cloning a D20 system, but he's put his own twist on it.
Sure.
What these licenses, though, is give creators a shortcut. And we all believed that the OGL was a shortcut that would be ours forever. It isn't. The ORC could give us one that isn't revocable, that will be with us forever, and give everybody an ability to come in and not have to rewrite from the beginning. Because trust me, as somebody who put out Swords and Wizardry Light and Swords and Wizardry Continual Light, even rewriting somebody else's work and cutting it down is a huge amount of work. I can only imagine what it'd be to start to have a whole new system each time, another heartbreaker. And that's another thing that you won't forget. When it comes to these games, yes,
but that's how we live, right, Eric?
Right. All
these different systems, that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, I could go to Complete Strategist and look at that bottom shelf for all these self-published fantasy heartbreakers with all the unique systems or semi-unique systems, kind of aping off of D&D, but not so close to be a clone like Palladium was. But they really hewed that one close. But it's a license like this gives a steady ground for others to come in on. You don't want to use it, you don't use it. You want to write your own game and have fun. Right but you're building it from the beginning. All right. You're not taking AD&D and just go, all right, yeah, I'm gonna just change a few words here and I'm good. You're gonna have to seriously rewrite that to get around the license.
Oh shit. Well, if you're on Matt Finch's Facebook page, he did a survey. He renamed all the first level mage spells, and one is a bunch of made up names, and one is a bunch of names that kind of refer to it but not. And he said, "Hey, I want people's opinion on which do you think is the better one." So he's going whole hog into this. He's going to rename all. He's probably going to have to rename everything. I mean, every kind of spell. I don't know about monsters, stuff like a Gorgon. That's from a lot of it's from you can't. I mean, you can't trademark vampire. I mean, right? I mean, stuff like that. So it's going to be monsters are going to be much easier as long as you don't have the exact description
and exact abilities, swap stuff around.
Yeah, you'll be okay. But yeah, the spells and all that stuff, the magic, probably magic items, you're gonna probably won't be able to have a Vorpal blade or stuff like that. You're just have to read, but you're gonna rename it. So everybody's gonna rename it. Now that's the great thing about something like Orc is because you'll have more than one company using the same nomenclature, and then that's where it's gonna get tricky. If you have it gets difficult, and Eric and I grew up under that. So I mean, we're used to it. It's not impossible to understand that, but it does make it more difficult, right?
I mean, I always like say things like, "Oh, I'd love to run another Warhammer Fantasy RPG campaign. I've got all the materials that they're putting out, like they're reprinting all the campaign material from Cubicle 7." And I'm like, "Yeah, I would just like to translate this to like Swords and Wizardry or first edition D&D and have
because you don't want to have to do the Warhammer rules and then have all the players have to learn Warhammer. See, that was the big barrier to me is when we were kids, the DM would run whatever game. Well, my players are so lazy. Warhammer came up with that great campaign. What was the great campaign they had?
Enemy Within.
I can't remember. Anyway, the one of the best campaigns of all time. And they're like, we don't want to learn how to play Warhammer. Like, oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to port this over to second edition D&D. Yeah, we're not gonna play it. We're not gonna play Warhammer. Okay, well, then I guess we're not gonna play it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't have time to cover it all. Yeah.
So,
but no, so we're used to doing that. We're used to having that happen. Look, I'll tell you that here's the biggest. This will be the biggest loss because. Go back. We're going to go back in the midst of time. Woo. We're going to go back to 2006 or 7 or something there.
Oh,
and I remember so
20 implosion.
My group, we still played old to play at the local game store because they did not allow dead to play there. You only play games that they could sell items for at that store. So we had to play during the day, during the week. Luckily, the schedules that made that work because we could not play our game on Friday. 3.5 during its heyday. You couldn't find all the game wanted things on the board. They were all for 3 games or die 20 or 3.5 or spy games, or whatever. There was nothing for old school. When Doug and I were thinking about doing a convention, I tried to find every convention in North America that ran old school games. Besides Gen Con, there was one, Eric, and that was Total Con. And Total Con only had old school games because Frank Menzer was a guest and he was running one D&D. There was not one other convention in North America. I looked that was running old school games. The great thing that the OGL did was make old school material available for people who are tired of playing the Giant series for the 15th time, playing against the slave lords for the 20th time, and just didn't have time to make their own material. I don't have a time to make my own material. I borrow stuff that I've run it bank. I mean, I felt now I changed up a ton of stuff in there. I like the framework of it, but it's nothing like what Greg does. I changed a lot of it, and that's what most of us do. But it allowed this material to get printed, and because of that, we have great stuff. Like we have 4 Mega Dungeons by Greg Gillespie. We have Rob Conley stuff, which is awesome. Black Marsh and all this. We have all Rob Conley's hex crawls, which are great. Have Statler, all his hex crawl stuff, which is awesome. We have Lamentations. Look, Lamentations isn't always my cup of tea, but it's weird fantasy. It's crazy weird shit. We have Jeff Talanian's Hybora. I mean, these are things that would have never ever come about with the OGL. Nobody would have done this if there wasn't a system in place to publish old school material. And we a debt of gratitude to Marshall and Matt Finch for coming up with Ostrich to begin with, because nobody really thought about it. And that was in 2008, right? 2007. Nobody thought about it until here's a framework we can publish old school material under. We'll just basically rewrite the first edition player's handbook, but change this and that and over here. It was brilliant, and because of that, that is what we have the children to thank for. And unfortunately, when the OGL is canceled, it probably will be, we're going to miss that because we're going to have 25 new systems or 50 new systems. And yes, they'll probably all still be compatible with old school role playing, but it's not going to be the ease of play that we have now, where you can pick up something by Jeff Talanian, by Tom Wilson, by Bill Marsh, and okay, yeah, I got this. It's written for old school. I've got it. It's just going to be a different world. It's not going to be worse, maybe, but it's just going to be, like I said, Eric and I are used to that world. That's the world we grew up in. We're nothing. We remember all the Rolaids products with all their generic stats and
HTK. Come on, hits to kill.
HTK hit the kills and stuff. And we're gonna have to get used to that. It's gonna suck because we had 22 years of awesomeness, or actually probably less than that, more like 16 years of this while all the old school stuff came out. And now we're back to we're just gonna have to pick and choose, and it's just a little harder. And I just hate to see. Look, I hate to see anything. I'm old. I hate to see things change, and I hate to see the eras ending, and I hate to see people being shut out of stuff. And that's just what this comes down to.
I mean, here's my issue. I'm going to address what John Gus has to say here. He goes, I miss the era of playing multiple games. We need to return to that. Listen, I could learn a new game system in a weekend when I was in my teens and 20s. I am in my 50s. I am lucky if I learn enough of a game system in a weekend that I can maybe play in a group and not have to ask questions for every other
action. It's a young man's game, right? When you learn something. Because I still look, I have younger friends and they have no problem with playing 5 different games. I can't do it. I'm like Eric, I can't do it anymore. I'm not willing to learn a new system unless it's extremely easy to learn. Extremely. Or it's based on something that I already play. Exactly. And okay, yeah, this what was it? Labyrinth, or what was the Gamma World clone that Proctor made?
Mutant Future.
Mutant Future. Okay. Yeah, Mutant Future. I can play that because that's basically just a rewritten, written for BX style. But yeah, some of this stuff now, look, as much as I love DCC, I like to play DCC. I could never run DCC. I don't get all the things. It's a fun game to play. If you want a convention game that's fun, get in a DCC one shot. I think they make some of the best, coolest convention games, but I can't run it. Sorry, I just can't run that game.
Well, there's a lot of games like that I would love to play, and yet running it. If I'm going to run a game, especially at a convention, I have to be able to run it without referring to the rules or minimally referring to the rules. Because nobody wants to be at a convention and playing with a GM that has to sit there and go, oh, well, hold on a second. Flip, 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 flip. Flip, flip. Okay. Well, and you go, no, I think that's wrong. Oh, shit. Oh. You're right. Maybe I am wrong. Flip, flip. You don't want that. It's a waste of fucking time. No. As a GM, you have to be the one that's knowledgeable in the rules so you can explain it to your players, not the one that's going, help me. Yeah.
About at this time, Eric, I could run Call of Cthulhu again because I used to run that a lot.
Right.
I could run that on a pinch. I don't D&D. That's about it. I can run any flavor of D&D from or 3. I do 3. I could probably even run 5e, but yeah, that's it. I'm stuck. I couldn't run a lot of the cool stuff. I mean, Weird Frontiers is an awesome looking game. My brother played it. We went to Long Con, said it was great. I couldn't learn. I don't think I could learn enough to run it. It looks like a great game, though. It looks like an awesome game.
Oh, I have it. Maybe I'll steal some parts of the setting material, but it's DCC, and I ran DCC at Funnels. I think I got as far as running first level adventures for it before my party pretty much rebelled and said I can't take it anymore. They enjoyed the scenario.
What do they have a problem with? What did those guys?
The system was too squiggly. Joe the lawyer was the big one. Joe was like, had a caster, and he's like, I can't handle this. I can't plan on what's going to happen. I don't.
Oh, because there's a chance any spell you cast, you either get mutated or it fails, or it's double strength, or it's half strength. Yeah, any spell you cast, there's things that can go wrong or right with it. So it's being a spellcaster is very that's a dangerous profession in DCC. It can get dangerous, at least.
Yes. So God help us.
But yeah, so we're used to having it. look at when back in the day, Eric and I, like, if you wanted something Dungeons Dragons, you went to Dungeon Magazine, right? That's where you found they would have great.
Yeah.
It came out every couple months, had awesome adventures in it. That's what we ran adventures out of when we, were too busy to write our own. And then all of a sudden it changed in 2008. And there's adventure, there's settings everywhere. There's stuff that I still haven't run that I would love to run now because we have so much material. And yes, we have enough material to run forever and ever and ever. And somebody had said that too, like, well, there's enough material out there that we can run it forever. We don't need new material. Well, but we have new creatives out there that want to write material. Why should we punish them? Why should we punish people like Ben Barsh or Keelan Halverson or younger players because they want to run stuff? Yes, right. There's enough material out there to run forever, but that doesn't mean that young guys don't have a chance to write their own material, and they should have that chance.
It's a weird situation to be in. If you had asked me a month ago, could they revoke the OGL 1.0? I'd be like, no, come on. We all know it's perpetual. Come on, we know they can't revoke it. Now we're like, it's a brave new world.
We were told, look, people I know were told that it's not going to happen by very high ups in WotC. This is not going to happen. 6E or whatever they call it's going to be backwards compatible. They're not going to change the OGL. Yes, you may have to sign on to run new adventures, but since you got, you can just do that if you want to. If not, don't worry about it.
Right.
We were told that up a month ago.
Actually, yeah. And what it actually came down to, it was something that I had conjectured, and I was like, then I was hearing reports from the industry that I was right, and it was, yes, if you opt into the 1.1 or whatever the new OGL was going to be called, the old OGL was no longer authorized for you, or some such wording,
which made sense. Made a lot of sense.
Therefore, if you wanted to write for 5.5 or 6 or 1 D&D, you had to opt into 2.0. If you were happy with the old OGL and writing for early 5e and before, just don't opt into the OGL 1.1 or the 2.0, whatever it was going to be. Actually, I knew companies that were talking about spinning off a new LLC with one LLC publishing under 2.0 and one thing with the 1.0 license, because that way you could dip your feet in both waters and different LLC. More than one company was looking into doing this, so that tells me that this discussion as to where they were going to go with this was going down right to the wire, and then somebody said, "No, we're doing it. We're going the hard way. We're going to go our way or no way," and that's what it was. And
Well, by the way, so we have Ty Beer in the room too, so you can comment in the comments if you want to. Somebody was asking about possible lawsuits, and I'm of two opinions of this. First of all, I thought a lawsuit was going to be, there was no way to avoid one at this point, because until they changed it where the all OGL stuff is able to be sold, companies were absolutely going to go out of business. They couldn't do it. So there would have definitely been a lawsuit that way, because they wanted to sell their own and get material. Now that they changed that, I think there's a chance there's still be a lawsuit, but here's the deal. At this point, I wonder how much WotC wants to take the public relations hit. Because look, they're a giant corporation, they got lots of money, blah, blah, blah. And I would say to that, still, there's a lot of times when big corporations lose to small corporations. It happens. It does happen. I mean, it doesn't happen a lot because you got to have deep pockets, but it's happened in history. And Ty could probably give us examples of some little David beating a Goliath. I don't know if they want to do it now, Eric. I mean, I could be absolutely wrong, but depending on how they're challenged, who challenges them, I don't know. As long as you don't put, across the cover, Dungeons and Dragons 6th edition, module, I'm not sure they're gonna be that into it. I mean, maybe they will. I could be completely wrong. But now at this point, I wonder if they just let that slide and just say, look, this is too small for us to worry about. We're making so much money over here. We're not going to worry about the one-man company over here put out something that's D&D compatible, and even though he doesn't use the words D&D, he used the spell slow in there. Slow is one of our spells. We don't know if, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Ty, am I wrong? Would they still sue no matter what? Or would they just say,
Ty says, Magic 8 Ball says,
it says most likely. So this will probably, I'm going to trust Ty on this. This probably going to be a lawsuit at some point. I've heard from some lawyer friends I know that WotC has a pretty terrible case here, but they'll probably money whip you is what they'll do for years. But I've heard their case is pretty shaky, because you have the guy who created the OGL stating everywhere online that it was meant to be perpetual and irrevocable. And I have to think the company would love to get Dancy on the stand in court and have him say that. Hey, this is supposed to be irrevocable and perpetual. When I wrote it, that's exactly what I meant.
Yep.
Yes, as Ty says, if they purport to cancel Restrict OGL 1.0, my Magic 8 Ball says most likely. I think that's true. They haven't done it yet, but yes, if they go that far and say, yeah, you cannot publish anything under your OGL 1.0, yeah, that's when the lawsuit might come in, because somebody's going to test it. Somebody's going to put out something, and it's going to be backwards compatible with Labyrinth Lord, Swords Wizard, whatever, and they're going to have to make a decision. Do we sue them or not? And Ty says yes, so.
May you live in interesting times. Isn't that the Chinese curse?
Yes. Yes, it is. So that's going to be interesting because, look, like I said, Ty can extrapolate on this longer, but just because a company has a giant war chest and doesn't mean they're going to automatically win these things. There's so much. Venue comes into play. The judge comes into play. The state is, all this stuff comes into play. And Ty will tell you this too. Something like 95, 99% of cases never have a verdict. They're settled at some point.
Right.
Maybe this would be settled at some point. Eventually they would just bleed whoever dry and then say, okay, you know what? Yeah, the OGL's okay. I don't know. So Ty says the idiots have put a knife in the throat of game companies. They can either litigate or be out of business. Yeah, because that's true. Because that's what they've done to companies that have massive backstock. They have 20 years of backstock. They've told them, look, you can't sell this anymore. And that's the lifeblood of some of these companies. Is there evergreen product, whatever you call it, their backstock. Look at Paizo. Paizo has how many adventure paths?
Oh
good
my
Lord. 100 something adventures. They're going to tell them you can't sell those anymore. They probably make a ton of money off those on PDFs.
I have a vague idea of how big the Paizo warehouse is due to past events, and I can only imagine how much dead material they would have. They would have to have like a bonfire. Like how many Vikings do you have to bury at sea?
Well, what I'm saying is, Eric, even if so, they can't really prevent you from selling. Look, if I have product, I can sell it on eBay, I can sell it on Amazon, I can sell it at conventions. I could sell it to you for $1 and have you sell it as used stock and then give me back the money. There's ways to get around physical product. When you're talking about PDFs, though, that's where the problem becomes, because they can actually see your PDFs being up on for sale on a site and see how much those PDFs are being sold for and how many are being sold. And so that's what. Oops, Eric went out, or did I go out? Eric, you went out.
I'm still here.
Or that was me.
I'm
whatever.
Here.
Okay,
Mike,
that was just me.
Man,
but you get what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is that you get what I'm saying, because that's what these companies don't want to lose. They don't want to lose the ability to sell past out-of-print products on PDF. That would seriously impact a lot of older company sales, Frog Out Games, Paizo. I don't know who. There's a lot of older companies. Anybody that's publishing for a while. Yeah, Troll Lord, Goodman, all those guys. They don't want to lose the ability to publish old PDFs or to reprint their material. Well, what if they want to reprint all their adventure paths? Because a lot of them, very popular ones, were only printed one time. Most adventure paths were, I think, 5 volumes. Every 5 issues was a complete adventure path. They've only reprinted a few of those over the years. They reprinted the first one. They reprinted Kingmaker. What if they want to do a whole bunch more? Are they not allowed to do that now? Is that something like, we can't reprint old material? Well, they have all this. They've spent a lot of money on this, on these materials. A lot of time and money has been put into these creative endeavors that WotC's saying you can't publish anymore. Well, yeah, that's going to be a court case then.
Yep. Oh. Do you feel tired, Michael?
Boy, Ty sounds like he's throwing out some legal opinions that I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if Ty would get behind a class action suit, maybe. Ty sounds like he's done a little research here. Might be a little prepared. Interesting.
He might even have gone to the Wayback Machine and looked at the statement from WotC where they say, if you don't like any license that we put up, just ignore it. You can always use the license that you want to use.
Well, I'll tell you, 4 out of 5 lawyers online agree with Ty. So I'm just telling you, every once in a while I see a lawyer that says, oh, you can't fight WotC, it's gigantic. For every one of those, I see 4 more that are saying, bring it on. Bring it on. We'll do it. Because they have a lot more to lose than some little game company. So that's going to be very interesting how that plays out this year. Oh, Ty's giving us an education. It sounds like Ty is angling to be a special guest on our show, isn't he? That's exactly what he's doing here.
No, he knows. He has an open invite. He knows it.
Yeah, it sounds like Ty is definitely angling. So looks like we got Ty for February. Sometime in February. By the way, I got to tell you something, Eric. I may miss my first show ever. Okay, let me. Jakey's graduating boot camp.
All right, that's okay.
On a Wednesday. It's on a Wednesday.
So I will have to get a guest.
I may be in San Antonio attending his. Well, I will be in San Antonio attending his graduation. I don't know that I'll have an extra hour or two to jump on because I haven't seen my best friend, my little buddy, in 6 months.
Priority. Hey, he was my partner behind your booth for a bit too.
He was. He's a great kid, isn't he? He's awesome.
Yes.
And so yeah, he loves you too. You sent him a free game for his Xbox or whatever. So
his Nintendo Switch. Yep.
No, his Nintendo Switch. That's right. Yes. So he's pumped about it. But no, yeah, he's graduating February, and I'm pretty sure it's a Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure I'll be there. So we may have to. Maybe Ty will be your partner that night. I don't know.
Oh, I'll bring in Ty and Rob, and I'll just.
Oh God! Shut.
I'll be like, let's get ready to
have Rob play devil. Oh, there'd be a fist fight halfway through that. No, but yeah. So I just wonder. I realized that today that this is going to be a Wednesday. I've never missed a show in 2 years. This is going to be
neither one of us.
Look, if I can do it, I'll do it. But I may be spending time with my pal, so we'll see. And I want to see him. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen this longest. I haven't talked to him since he was born. So this is a tough one for him, man. It's been tough. Well, I've wrote him about 3 letters though. I told him about the OGL. I don't know if he's interested in it, but I figure in your boot camp, you don't care what you're hearing about. You just want to hear a story. Right. So I've been sending him notes about the OGL, about what's going on with that, just to keep him interested. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. But anyway, just a warning ahead. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yes, we probably need to have Ty jump on here at some point. Oh God! Now they're kissing each other on the cheek. Oh dear!
Isn't it special? They're special.
I'm about ready to throw up. Here, let me have a drink.
I've never had a glass of wine last this long. I can't believe it.
Because we're talking so much, you can't sip. I've drank 2 glasses of water, 1 full of Jack and Winter Jack. Right, and I'm just getting started here. I mean, we could go on all night because this has got my dander up, baby. Like everybody else in the industry. I mean, this has got I was up at 4:00 last night, Eric, reading blog posts. That's how invested I am in this because this is a amazing moment in gaming, a generational moment that you and I were around to witness, and that doesn't happen very often. Look,
no,
the last time I'm trying to think. So let's think of generational moments in gaming. Probably Gygax getting fired, which we didn't know about at the time because we're all scattered across the United States and had no way of really knowing. That was a generational shift, though. 2E was a generational shift.
Yeah.
When TSR shut down and nobody knew why, for 7 months, and then they came back. WotC owns us. That was a huge generational shift.
I was like, "Where's my magazines?"
Yeah, my Dragon magazine. I in my dungeon. I have subscriptions, and you got on AOL online. They're like, we can't really say anything about that. Why not? Oh, we can't say anything. And then, of course, after WotC bought it, oh yeah, Lorraine wasn't paying the publishing company to publish anything. Oh, okay.
I blame Bucket Dodges.
Yeah, and then when 3E came out, that was a huge shift. I would like to say when 4E came out, that was a huge shift, but it was a shift in a different direction because that brought Paizo about. But this is it. This is the biggest news. I mean, I guess 5E being as popular, but that happened over a period of time. That was like basically a slow burn, is that 5E got more and more and more popular. And a lot of it had to do with media coverage, the fact that the Big Bang Theory talked about it, and they had the episode about Gary Con, the fact that Critical Role came about. I mean, just all the Stranger Things was a huge component of that. Huge. Yes, and so
even though there was a lot of old edition, people were like, "Oh, I can play D&D. Look, it's in my Barnes and Noble."
So it was a slow burn, but this just happened so quick and overnight, and it has such a potential to upend the whole industry. It's amazing you and I are around for this, Eric. This is just whoa. This is like if we'd been doing a show back in 1997, and our show every week would have been, "Hey, how come there's no Dragon magazine?"
Yeah,
like, nobody knows why.
What happened to Dragon Mag? I don't understand. I went down to the Complete Strategist in Manhattan, and they told me we haven't had a shipment from TSR.
I've been to the local game store, and they haven't had any new TSR material in 6 months now. What the hell's going on? And we would just be speculating, and this. So this would have been, of course, there wasn't blogs back then. So okay, no, but you get my meaning.
Yeah, there was hardly an internet back then. It was AOL.
Yes. We could have had an AOL forum back then. Our AOL forum would have been us going back and forth, going what's going on. So this is the same thing, except this is 2023, and we're lucky enough to be alive now. Isn't that great? Well, this is happening that we can speculate about every single day as new news pops up every day.
Yep. I mean, this is the fact that we are at that point in the cycle of news events that people like myself and Mike and other channels can report on this stuff. This is my third time in front of the computer doing a video today. I did 2 earlier. Where else are you going to get that? I mean, I used to watch like Tim Pool, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, Tim Pool's done 4 videos today. The man's insane." And I was like, I did 2 plus a 2-hour live stream. What the hell am I doing? But
nobody's getting a lot of sleep right now. Nobody's getting sleep.
I haven't.
All the COOs and CEOs of companies are just round the clock now. I mean, this is life changing in a lot of ways. And what happens in the next few months will say a lot about the future of the hobby. Seriously, I mean, look, the hobby's going to go on. And I saw a good analysis. Might have been Jolly Blackburn of all people. It said that the audience is going to split here. I think this is a split right now. I think this is a split between online gamers and tabletop gamers. And not that one's better than the other or worse than the other, not that one's going to have more or less, because look, tabletop gaming, this is the golden age of board games. I say that all the time. The best board games ever published have been published in the last 20 years. So people already play a lot of games at home, with their family on the board. Maybe we're just going to divide into I play online gaming. I don't even know what this other stuff is they play. I play one D&D, whereas we'll play at home and we'll be like, I've never played an online session. I don't know what one D&D is. I have no clue.
Right.
Maybe that's what's going to happen.
I haven't played in a 3D animated VTT with tiles and multiple levels of whatever. I mean, now, Mike, you saw that leaked screenshot, right? The one that, the picture of the screen, the one that was talking about the $30 VT, the $30 D&D.
Oh yes, yeah, oh yeah. Which is look. Here's my big deal about these things. They don't ever come out and dispute these, so that makes me think there's a lot of truth there, and that's what happened with the whole first leak, right? Was that everybody waited a week to hear any kind of response, which made you believe this is true because they're not disputing it. That'd be the first thing. It's like, no, we don't want your royalties. We don't want your IP. That's all crazy. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Nothing. Well, this whole thing about the screenshot, nothing, because it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense what their plan is. They're going to make that money back. They're losing. They're going to raise, was it $6 a month to $30 because who doesn't want to play $360 a year or whatever to
well, they're like, listen, I understand their motivation for the pricing, and I've been predicting this since they first announced that they're going to be experimenting with shipping their own books. And you can order directly from Hasbro and get the D&D Beyond material 2 weeks earlier. I said, once they're doing that, they're bundling the VTT. When the VTT material comes out, you're going to buy Tenkar's Terrible Tavern and Dungeon, and you're going to get your VTT material along with your 2-week early D&D Beyond material, and you can run it early, and you got the VTT shit. So why aren't you going to use it with the VTT? You're going to have to. And their VTT, and I think what we're seeing on that D&D Beyond is I don't know if that's for now or that was for when the VTT comes out. No homebrew unless you're paying $30 a month. $30 a month, and then you can put your little tiles out. Otherwise, you got to use a pre-made dungeon. So they're going to get paid whether you're doing your own shit or whether you are doing your shit for your PCs. You know, if you're going to homebrew, you're going to pay, and if you're using their stuff, you're going to pay. So it's one way or the other.
They got you by the nads, no matter what you're doing. If you're going to play online, they got you.
So I personally, and I've been saying this, and I think I finally brought Rob Conley onto my side on this one. They don't care about the tabletop gamer. They want the tabletop gamer to be virtually playing in the privacy of their basement or wherever. But they don't. I like playing on VTTs because it's convenient. My friends are around the country. If I had local friends that played old school games, I would be playing them. I used to out Long Island. But the thing is, they don't want me playing on Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds. They want me on their VTT playing their 1D&D.
Right.
And it's not even like there's going to be an option. Well, what if I want to play 1E? I can do that on like Fantasy Grounds. There is actually an official rule set for a 1E. You won't be doing that on the 1D.
Why would they want to them? That's their competition. They don't want to support that. Yeah. So, they don't want to support any edition except the one they're pushing right now because that's where the bucks are coming from. Look, like I said, some bean counter along the way has crunched the numbers, and they've said we can afford to lose this many people. And as a matter of fact, we're going to lose people that we don't even care about, like Bad Mike and Tenkar. We don't care about them anyway.
No.
So we're going to lose people we don't already care about. But look at all this extra money we're getting now because we're going to shut this system down, and you have to be in our playground to play our games. We're going to make this much extra money. They've crunched the numbers, I guarantee.
Right. They know how much of if they lose from their current gamers, and I'm going to repeat myself. If you are a 5e player prior to the summer of 2020, before orcs became I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Once orcs once orcs no longer had a designated alignment, okay. If you were playing before that and you weren't happy with that change,
sweet and cuddly, yeah,
you're not part of their new and inclusive environment, which isn't inclusive; it's exclusive. Think about it that way. They don't want the old school gamers because we're not good people. And old school gamers is anybody for the last, I don't know, playing in like, if you played before the start of this decade, they probably don't want you. You're probably
they know how much money people spend, and they've done the polls, they've done the stuff. Look, one of the reasons they're making it so hard to delete your accounts, that's a whole other subject we didn't get into, how it's almost impossible to delete your account there now. The reason they're making it so hard is what is worth money, and Alice Payne and I talk about this because she can't get her account deleted either, just like James.
I was told on the 5e Facebook group that I was full of shit for showing that because obviously if you want to delete your account, you can delete your account. There's no issues with it. They don't make you go through hoops
No.
or
Alice is jumping every hoop that they've even made up some hoops for her. But Alice and I talked about it is the reason they don't want people like Alice leaving is because you're worth money to them marketing wise, because they look at you and your age group and what you can do. Look, marketing is where all the money is for these companies. When they seem like they're taking a loss or giving away stuff, they're not really. They want people to sign up so they can use that information for marketing research. That's what it's all about. You're a marketing research thing for them. So when people quit D&D One, yeah, they get mad at the money is lost. But if, let's say you don't even have a subscription, you just have an account there, they're still mad because they're losing your marketing info. And that's info they can sell to other companies. They can sell to people that are doing advertising. That's why they're making that so hard. And so they figure that they've looked at the marketing research up to now and said, you know what? There's just not a lot of old guys that play this game. There's not a lot of people in the age of 50 to 70 mark that just play this game. We don't really care about them. They're not important to us, which makes sense, right? I mean, that's not stupid. We're not their target audience, Eric.
Yeah, well, tabletop gamers are a liability to their marketing of D&D at this point. D&D is about movies, on-demand streaming shows, and tchotchkes, right? It's going to be figurines and everything else to go with it. And then the digital description, their video. If you're a tabletop role player playing with Dead Tree books, if you're not using their D&D Beyond and paying a subscription or buying digital material, you are a liability at this point. I'm going to say something again. I do some live streams sometimes because I repeat myself. I said this before. When 5e got released, we didn't get an OGL with it. What did we get? Right. What did we get when they released 5e? We got the basic set. Remember, we got the basic rule book.
The beginning, the beginning rules.
We got the basic rule book that allowed you to play your basic classes, get your basic rules, and then you could play for free because they thought that's the only PDF they released for this fucking game was the basic rule book because they thought people don't want an OGL and an SRD so they can create. They want it so they can play for free. So let's give them the basic book. And you know what? 15 months of people bitching about where's my OGL and my SRD, they finally realized, oh, wait, we didn't understand our own players, our own customer base, our own community? No, you don't. And it's no different now. It's no different now. They still don't understand their community because the bean counters and the suits aren't gamers. They don't understand it. Or they're video gamers. They're coming from Microsoft. It's a different, it's like they don't understand the culture. They don't understand. Yeah, you know what? You can get a group to spend money. It's going to be all coming through the DM's pockets, but make good material. The DM will buy it, and some of the players will get curious and they'll buy it too. If you don't make good material, people stop buying your shit when there's other options.
There's a really good article it's called 8x7 by a guy named Timothy Burke. The article's called The News, The Golden Goose Murder Squad Hasbro Edition. It's really, really good. I will give you a link, Eric, if you can post this link, but it is well worth reading. It's one of the best things I've seen on the subject. But I'm going to read just a teeny bit of it. I don't like just to read stuff, but I'm going to read a little bit of it because it is really, really, really good. Hold on, let me send you the link so you can see about getting that up there. There's a link right there. And but somebody had hipped me to this article, and there's so much truth in it. I'm just going to read you a tiny little part of it. And this is why this is probably a bad move for them in the long run. In the case of Hasbro and Dungeons & Dragons, the upper middle management has to show proof of life to their C-suite bosses. Like their bosses, they don't understand the product, they don't understand the audience, and they especially don't understand how favorable conditions have been established for the product's longevity and consumption. As, say, in allowing third-party developers to make content using the core product, and thus in making it a preferred standard, or in other cases in being lenient towards derivative uses of their kinds. The lowest hanging fruit to show proof of life to the C-suite is not to make more product and not to make better product. Those are both out of reach for the upper middle management or straight out of MBAville. The way to show proof of life is to have a plan to recoup more revenue out of the product's current market, essentially to aggressively collect rents via illegal action or threat of same. Time and time again, this move ends up creating ill will and driving customers away from the product. Fandoms will resiliently tolerate a bad product, but they won't resiliently tolerate a company that tries to claw back pennies on the dollar from fans or from content creators who are close to fandoms. The rents that a company like Hasbro can collect are small against its bottom line, but often big for individuals and small businesses operating in a gig marketplace. It's not just that fans cancel subscriptions and move into another fandom entirely. It's also that the visibility that generous licenses and toleration of derivative works creates what recruits future consumers. And this they talk about. They say what this does is it moves people away from D&D to other systems like Fate or GURPS or Numenera, Pathfinder, whatever. This doesn't immediately have an effect, Eric, but it does in the future. Because these people are not going to grow up playing D&D. They're going to grow up doing something else because their DM who used to play 5e doesn't want to switch to 6 or whatever new, and he's doing something else. And the guy goes on the article to say this pattern has been repeated over and over again in businesses that take over companies that they don't understand how the company works. They just want to make really quick money. They don't understand that what they should be doing is caretaking that product and making sure. I'll give you an example that's happening right now. That's Marvel Comics and DC Comics.
Oh, yeah.
They're at the lowest levels they have ever been in the history of because they forgot about their comics. They got into movies. They made a crap load of money movies, and they forgot about the comics. They forgot about the comic shooter. Eric, I haven't bought a new comic in 10 years, and I have a personal collection of over 55,000 comics. I bought comics every week when I was a kid up until about 2006. And then I just stopped buying because I didn't like what was going on in the comics. Bad art, bad writing. Right. And now I don't read comics. I don't give comics to my kids or grandkids. They don't read comics. Nobody I know read comics, except for people my age that may still pick up something from like Image Comics or one of the other companies, Antarctic. I don't know anybody that reads DC or Marvel Comics, Eric.
I always pick up comics a humble bundle now. I get digital, collection. I grab it.
Sure. And they're the only comics I read. Marvel Masterworks of old. I've got some stuff right here. I'll read the old stuff. Like I'll buy, here's Spider-Man issues, 50 to 70 in a Marvel Masterwork. I'll buy that. Stuff like, but I don't buy anything new at all. And they've destroyed their audience because they were making so much money on these movies. They just forgot about the comics. They didn't care about the comic reader. Who cares about them, man? Look how much money we're making, the Avengers or Iron Man or these movies are making so much money. And what happens is they have destroyed the future generations of comic readers. Because now nobody talks about comics. Nobody knows who these comics are. And they've done this damage themselves. That's what D&D is going to do to their own product if this goes like it's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
Is by splitting all these people off and be concentrated on making money now. Like I said, this article is a great article. I would, anybody wants to read it. I don't think that link worked for you, Eric.
I had to make a new link because the link was
okay. But that's a great story. Read the whole article. It's really good, but it makes a lot of sense in that, look, they're sacrificing making money now for future generations because they don't care. They don't understand how the product works. And honestly, they just want to show their bosses money now. They want to say, look how much money we made last year on this. This is great. They're not thinking 5 years down the road when all of a sudden like, hey, nobody's playing D&D anymore. What happened? Well, because you kicked everybody out of D&D. You kicked out half your audience. And they're all playing Black Flag. They're, what's Black Flag? Oh, because they're playing all these other games because you kicked them out. They're playing Call of Cthulhu. They're playing, whatever, a redone GURPS, or they're playing the new Paizo game. They're not playing your game anymore because you told them to leave. That's the real danger to this. But these people don't care. They're the suits. I always said this looked like this whole thing looked like it was written by consultants and middle management types that had no clue what's going on here.
Yeah, pretty much.
You could have played bingo with I think I mentioned this before they came out. I said you're going to have a bingo card. It's going to say we care about you. Roll to one. All these phrases because they hit every one of them. We love D&D. We're caretakers of the hobby. This is all. It's just they just fill in the blank. It's like a Mad Lib, right? We care about you. It's just a Mad Lib. They're just filling in sentences there with whatever
that
word.
makes, what will make them feel good? Like Ella's saying, Hasbro was stewards of D&D. Like Dennis was a steward of Gondor, and that's exactly what I was referring to.
Oh,
I'm not
ouch!
throwing
That's
it
a good
out, but
one.
you're right. Because why are they repeating? We want to be good stewards of the game.
Yes,
Because they're reminding you by saying that it's not your game. You might feel like it is. It's not. They're telling you. And in the end, your word, your requests, your surveys are going to have very little impact.
very.
You
Yeah. Look,
you're
they never do.
canceling
I've
help.
worked in companies that did surveys. Eh, it's 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 iffy if anybody upper management ever sees that. The company, the bank I worked for, we did a big survey once, the savings loan, and I was one of the team that was asked to summarize all the surveys so we could present it to our bosses. They never saw the surveys. They saw what we summarized from the survey. So,
Right.
well, do people like drive up, whatever? Well, they do, but they don't want to take more than 5 minutes. I mean, we had to summarize it all because they're not going to read all that. They don't care. Nobody
No.
read the individual responses.
Oh,
We summed it all up and said, okay, there's
right.
and did
They
anything
want the
change?
numbers.
I don't know.
Give me the graphical average. Just show me where this all plots out.
Yeah. Right.
5 years.
Right.
No, you're right. Again, nothing will impact any content you have. I know some people, not in live stream, that's for sure, but some people out there in the internet world, they don't see how grammar is important and what you're saying. They're talking about what you have published, not what you will publish, not what you are planning to publish. What you have published. Once that license goes, then maybe they give you. They already said they're going to give you a 6-month lead time if you sign on to 2.0 to get rid of to get your 1.0 stuff out. So this is their game plan. There's nothing here to go. Oh well. When we were designing 5e, we were very interested in old school gamers, and they were very important. That's why we had people like Joe Block and Zach Smith and the RPG pundits involved in the process. Now we scraped all these names out of the beginning of our books years ago because we don't. Old school. Old school is bad. Old school they had the A series in the old school. Who could have a series? Slaves.
What?
That would be like putting slaves in Spelljammer.
We fought the slaves. Who cares? Whoa, you fought them. I don't care about that. You had them. You shouldn't have had them. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, Isaiah, I don't. I've seen that 90% figure where they can lose 90% of players and still make money. I've seen that number, but here's the thing: that $30 figure you're seeing, and that's an impossible subscription to charge without having the VTT ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you can't do it. So that's going to be an all-inclusive type of deal.
We didn't even talk about this, Eric, but this could be Gleemaxed, and this could be the biggest flop of all time.
Oh my god!
No, I mean, if the VTT
actually,
it's got to work, and it's got to work really, really good. It's got to be from day one ready to roll.
Elle mentioned that actually in the pre-show chat.
Mm-hmm.
Made a Gleemax reference, and then actually, and Elle, God bless you, I could not remember the name of the two that the one that was killed by the one that then committed suicide, the couple that were the programmers behind the VTT for 4E. So, and that was likely because of pressures to get the stuff that was horribly not working out.
It wasn't working at the time they released 4E, and it was an awful. I don't know if there's a good article online about it. There probably is. If you look up Gleemax and 4E, there's probably a good article about what happened. But it absolutely just cratered. And look, if this isn't ready to go, they could be their own worst enemy here. If they don't put out a kick-ass, if there's problems with the VTT and downloading and running it, it's just going to add to all the cacophony of voices that's been going on and on the past year or so. It's just going to get worse for them.
No,
I mean, this thing better run really good, and the amount of money they're charging, it better be kick-ass. I better,
here's the thing.
Better be served a nice, neat whiskey and a hamburger while I'm playing, this.
I think they likely bit off more they can chew because they had to have a VTT that was more impressive than all the other VTTs that are out there. Now, right now, they have license deals with Roll20, and license deals with Fantasy Ground 2. I don't know when those licenses end. I will bet my bottom dollar at the end of 2023. I will make you a bet that DM's Guild license ends around then too, and they will seek to move such to their own server. Because remember, one bookshelf is no longer one bookshelf. One bookshelf is Roll20.
And by the way, the $30 amount, this could be another fishing expedition by them where they go, oh, that $30 is bullshit. We're just going to charge you $17, and that's not very bad, right? It's not 30.
Oh, that's like half.
It's half of what those idiots said.
3 times what I'm paying now, but that's
of course
like
you're only paying $6 now, but we're going to make you pay 18, but that's less than 30. And so that could be another one of those where they let that leak just to see people's reactions. They'd be all upset and go, of course we're not going to charge you 30. At the most we'll charge you 15. Come on. So
and you'll like it. You'll like it when we
you'll have to like it because it's the only game in town. You're going to have to play using our equipment on our. And I was telling you, I'm interested in your opinion of this, Eric, because I think I talked about this before, but not a lot. I had said when this first happened, this is going to be good for old school gamers and good for conventions, and the reason is because one D&D almost seems to be anti-convention the way it's set up. If it's the most benefits are gained online, how is that good for running a convention with one D&D?
It isn't. I mean, bring my tablet to everybody bring a tablet.
Everybody bring your laptop, and your tablet and your
table.
iPhone.
Put your headset on so you can talk to the people at the table with you. No,
does it seem like a disaster waiting to happen if convention asks to run all these games and then the convention doesn't set up right, and then that doesn't work, and the internet's spotty, and then nobody can play their game.
Gen Con anymore. Remember, they don't do Gen Con anymore. They don't understand conventions. Conventions are not part of their. They have a presence. Yeah, the Adventurers League has a presence. I don't even know if the Adventurers League is going to continue as we know it with D&D 1, because everything that they're doing is to handicap or disadvantage game stores, brick and mortar. So if you're going to do that, then I'm sure that the Adventurers League is going to start to migrate to.
We haven't even, that's something we'll have to discuss on another show. Is the effect this is going to have on brick and mortar stores, which is, I think, it's another devastating effect, just like small gamers, because if they're not coming out with a lot of material, which it doesn't sound like they're going to come out with a lot of printed material. How does that affect? What do game stores do? I mean, what are they going to start doing? Well, I tell you what. Let's say Paizo comes out with their new OGL and they offer in-store play. There you go. You just lost your audience to Paizo again. You just lost what little tabletop audience you had.
Thank you again. I couldn't remember the names. Joseph and Melissa Batten.
Oh yes.
Melissa was the victim. Joseph was the aggressor, the murderer, basically, in the suit, and then took his own life afterwards. Horrible.
That was a crazy story. And there's probably, like I said, look online. There's probably a story online about it, but it was an absolute crazy story.
Keon, why did the 4E VTT fail? I can tell you how about this? I'll make it quicker. I'll tell you why it didn't succeed, because that might be there's a lot of reasons why it failed, actually. When they showed off a demo of it, they stole the graphics of dice rolling, the 3D dice rolling, from Fantasy Grounds. Literally stole the graphic and just presented it as their own. And I think it initially passed until somebody pointed out to them that, hey, isn't that somebody else's graphics? Oh, that was just as a demo to show you what we planned to do.
Right. It was that's not the final product. That's not the final product. We just threw that in there to show what it could look like. That was their explanation then, yeah.
So these are the two main programs. And listen, GleeMax was supposed to be this whole, I don't know, was it Web 3.0 at that time that everybody was talking about? It's like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. You're going to see all these changes.
I went to the Gen Con where GleeMax, where 4E was announced, GleeMax was announced, and they gave away little plastic brains. I still have one downstairs, and that it was huge. Is that this is going to be the future of gaming? It's going to be online. They way over promised and way under delivered was the biggest product. And then it was also late, very very late. because they had their release. I want to say it was 2007 for 4E, the Gen Con there, and this thing was nowhere near being functional.
Right? No, there's no way. And their game plan, if I recall correctly, for 4E was microtransactions. So if you wanted to get like 4 orc, and I'm going to say orc because we're talking about it here down on the screen. If you wanted to add 4 orcs to your collection, you had to pay like 25 cents an orc. The digital material. I just want to. I can copy a digital. No. Hey, how about I use a Pong? A Pog. How about I use a Pog? Can I use a Pog? This is how they were going to make their money. It was microtransactions. Why 4E failed is because 4E was built with the idea it was going to be supported by microtransactions and this VTT, and the gameplay was designed to be on a board. It was designed to be on a VTT. So it was a game, 15 years before its time, I guess, right? Now we're going to get that back.
The best thing to come about, the best thing about 4E was the miniatures, because the miniatures were really, there were some really, we still use the miniatures in our games. I mean, the miniatures are really good. Now, the 3 miniatures were good too, but the 4E miniatures, plastic miniatures, were really good because it was supposed to be a miniature fighting game, basically, because it was built for a VT, it was built for a online, board, squares and everything. And it just, like I said, overpromised, underdelivered. And I had some friends that played, but they would always bitch about the fact that they didn't get the game they were promised, because there was no VTT aspect of the game, and that's what they were promised when the game came out.
All right, so it was 2007 when it happened. Actually, I can remember reading this update at my desk at work. I actually remember the room I was in when I first saw that. So that was impactful. I wasn't even playing 4E, but it was big. George, good night. You've probably already left since I'm like 6 minutes behind on these chats. I've been better.
You're reading faster than you normally read. Yeah,
I'm multitasking. Fantasy Rush has at least 10 years left for 5e and 2e at least. Or it's interesting. I'm surprised. If Wizards gave it that long a license, I am very surprised. Listen, if I'm traveling to a convention, I'm probably taking a tablet and not all my game books with me, because I can put them all on my iPad, and I can, as a player, I can pull it up and read it. And at the same time, I can go on social media if my DM is boring. But I didn't say that. I haven't had a boring DM in the last couple of North Texas, so I wouldn't know.
By the way, I got good news from Gary this week about registration.
Yes.
We're about halfway there, man.
All right.
To our 500 total. So if you're thinking about going to North Texas, you may want to go ahead and
get your badges. I got to get badges for Rach and I. So that.
You come on, man.
I always wait, man. I never want to risk getting in on the budget time. I don't want to be like the guy going, I'm taking a discount. I go full.
There's no discount now. There's no discount. You're fine.
I pay full boat. All right. Oh, and actually, this actually is a good month to do so. I have a bill. I have a new bill, by the way, folks. Not gonna go into details on it. It's a recent bill that only started end of last year, and I saw my bill for December today, and it was like, wow, that's less than my car insurance. That's a good month. So yeah, this is the month for me to. I also got to get Rachel's badge for TotalCon, and yeah, it's going to be a good year for conventions. I think I'm only going to fly to one.
Get your. I don't want to have to tell you can't come to the con. I mean, come on, man. I don't want to tell. Do you want to tell Rach she can't come to the con?
Oh my God, no. She'll kick ass. She works out with Alice twice a week.
I know. They're both getting ripped. So yes, buy your memberships now, because we're already about 250 in. Gary's not on here pop up saying I'm lying, so I think I'm right. I think that's what he told me. So Gary, if you're listening, I need internet at the warehouse, man. Come on. Look, I'm doing the show with my upstairs mini fridge behind me. That's sad. That's just sad. Nice. Nobody wants to see that stuff. But yes, start looking at your membership or your attendance because we are selling those tickets really quick.
Woohoo!
And we just announced some new guests this week. Dennis Astaire has said he will be there. He has not been since 2018.
I missed that.
Co-creator of Bunnies and Burrows with Dr. Scott Robertson, who will also be at the con. Both creators of Bunny and Burrows will be there. I had this out because I was looking for stuff to get signed at the con.
Okay.
I want to have both of them sign that. So,
See,
yes.
Dennis is the only one that can keep me up to 4 a.m. in Texas, which is 5 a.m. in New York City. And he did that at the last con.
Oh,
and I finally had to go. I was like, Rachel already wandered off to bed. I was like, Dennis? Yeah, I don't.
The guy's like 80 years old. How's he staying up that late?
I'm like, I got to go.
He's an interesting guy to talk to. He's an actual real life rocket guy. He's a rocket scientist. I mean, he
doesn't come off like a rocket scientist. He comes off like the average person who just happens to be like IQ points like 90 beyond yours, and you're not that.
Yeah. He's a great dude. So, yes, he will be there. And I can't remember. I thought we announced somebody else. Maybe that was it. Dennis was our guy that. So I'd asked a bunch of people earlier that hadn't given me a reply yet. He was one of the ones that said, yeah, I can definitely come now. So we can't wait to see Dennis. He hasn't been since 2018. That'll be great. We hopefully have more to go. I've got a couple more names in the hopper that have not got back to me. So it's a pretty badass guest list. We talked about it last week or the week before. And yes,
I think
so.
Yeah,
that's my plug. That's my weekly plug for North Texas. Sorry,
weekly plug. Climbing that mountain. Ventures League migrated during COVID.
Oh, did not know that, or didn't remember.
Right. Well, I mean, that's just a sign of the times. Things like Adventurers League and the Pathfinder Society are to get people into game stores. Get people into game stores, people buy shit. Even if it's just chips and soda and another set of dice that they don't need.
Mm-hmm.
You get people into game stores. That's how you support them. They're not a concern of Wizards right now. So, can you believe it, Mike? We're hitting. We've passed to.
What the hell? No. It just seems like we just got more practice. I'm not a drinkable, so that's my problem. It's like
we've gained a new superpower, Mike, with bladders of steel.
I don't have to go like you go. You must have a tiny little bladder, Eric.
I gotta. You know what? I'll listen. I'm going to go a little bit behind the scenes, folks.
Oh dear.
No.
Oh boy.
In the police academy, you are only allowed to leave your desk if you are in a class for one of two reasons: to get water or to use the bathroom. And since you always wanted to get up in the middle of the class for any reason, you would get up and get a sip of water, and then you go to the bathroom. So when I got on patrol, the first thing you had to do was go, all right, I'm in a patrol car. Where's the nearest bathroom?
Where are the bathrooms? I was a delivery driver. We did the same thing. Where are the places I can sit down and go to the restroom? Because you're worried about sitting down.
All right. Well, so now my one bathroom story that is bizarre.
Uh-oh.
I'm a rookie. I have a fixed post for I just thought it was a regular fire, but then I realized, it's an arson because I'm a fixed post guarding it. So I have a fixed post, and it's summertime. I was like, oh man, I need to find a restroom. And I was like, I can't walk into this building and just, go in the hallway. Can't do it. So there's a gas station though right at the corner. So I walk to the gas station and I'm like, hey, how you doing? You got a restroom I can use? Not realizing as I'm saying this guy is in one of these booths that's about like 2 feet wide and like 4.5 feet long. And he's like, oh, yes, bathroom. And he closes the curtains on the booth. And the seat he's sitting on is the toilet. And he gets out and just tells me, like, knock on the door when I'm leaving so he knows to come back in.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my
No
God.
pressure on your bowels at that point. I would have had nervous bowel at that point. I don't think I could have gone. I would have been like.
I didn't even have to sit at that. Thank God. But I was just like, I'm going to have to pee into this guy's seat where he sits. And as an aside,
New York City. That's New York City for you, man. Come on.
Yeah, and as an aside, there was no sink.
In Texas, we're wide open spaces. You can usually just walk around behind the building and just pee on the wall or something. But New York, you can't really do that. You're wall to wall people.
Yeah,
you got all kinds of stuff going on. Unless you're homeless, you probably do if you're homeless.
Well, then they defecate between parked cars.
Yeah, there you go. If you're in San Francisco, you can just go on the street.
Well, yeah. In San Francisco, you're just like, excuse me, sir. Do you have any toilet paper on you? I got to finish up, please.
And then they beat you up for the.
Here, you can have it back. I didn't use it all.
When I was a customer service rep, so you had to learn where all the bathrooms were. Let me tell you something. This is a secret. I'm gonna let this secret go because I don't drive around anymore. The best bathrooms are in hospitals. Yep. And the thing is, you can pull up to the hospital, park in the visitor parking, walk in. The bathrooms are clean. They always clean their bathrooms like all the time. They usually have a lock, and they're usually one toilet bathrooms with a lock on it. You can go in there, lock it. It's clean. Go to the restroom. Nobody's bothering you, and you can leave. Hospital bathrooms. I'm telling you right now.
I didn't have a hospital in my initial precinct as a rookie, but when I got promoted, I went to the Hole in the Donut, the 2-6 by Columbia University. We had a hospital, and my driver the first day goes, Sarge, you need a bathroom? I'm like, always need a bathroom. Where's the best bathroom in this command? And he drives me to the hospital. He goes,
yep.
I go, what? He goes, and again, patrol car. We park wherever we want. Walk right in, and literally 5 feet away from the entrance.
Yes, that's the other thing. They're right by the doors. Yes.
They're right by I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, wow, the best we could do in my old precinct was go to the Amtrak.
I'll tell you, here's the other bathroom secret. So the hospital's number one. Number two is a bank building, preferably one that's like 4 or 5 stories. Because you go in, you go to like floor 5 or whatever. You make sure it's not one of those where the whole floor is the business. You go to like 4 or 5. You go up there, you walk. It's quiet, carpeted floors. The bathrooms are nice, like nothing you've ever seen. Some of the bank or you go and then you have your own little stall and everything. And usually they're hardly anybody. You don't have a lot of traffic. You can concentrate, do your thing, whatever. You're not crowded, whatever. Because the worst places to go are fast food places and gas stations. That's what you want to avoid. Fast food and gas stations. Those are the worst. So hospitals and bank buildings. I'm giving you my secrets here because I don't drive like I used to, and so I wouldn't normally give you those secrets, but there you go.
Gave them all away, folks. That's why you come to the live stream. This is community.
This is the good. This is the stuff. Yes,
that's the stuff. We get secrets you're not going to find anywhere else. Yes, George Costanza knows where all the best bathrooms are.
Well, if you're in New York City, that's a skill, as Eric has just showed us. That is an important skill in New York City. So yes, you got to know where all the good bathrooms are.
Because it's either that or make your way to a rooftop.
Well, remember the one time that Kramer couldn't go to the bathroom, he missed his chance, and then he couldn't go for like weeks because he had a chance and he couldn't find a bathroom. He had to run all the way home from I don't even know where. And by the time he got home, it was too late. He couldn't go, and then he kept telling everybody he missed his chance, and he was having horrible stomach pains. And it was you got to know where all the best bathrooms are. Definitely,
you got to know where to go when you got to go. All right, we're coming on 2 hours and a half.
Oh dear, I think we've talked ourselves out.
I think we've talked. I think I've talked
at least tonight. Until Eric's blog post tomorrow, he'll probably have 2 or 3 tomorrow.
I got to put up a blog post after this, but it's going to be. Let me tell you what the blog post tonight's going to be. It's going to be a bundle of holding posts. Okay.
Oh, hey, and by the way, how's that subscription numbers looking? Because you told me beforehand, it looks like we may have to give away some prizes pretty soon.
All right. So I said that when we hit 2,500 subscribers, which I was thinking was going to be like, I don't know, July, around my birthday, we would give away $250 in drive-through RPG gift certificates. Now, Who do we have with us next week? Tom? We have
Tom. I think we're supposed to have Tom tell us, but let me double check with that because he's a weirdo. I don't know what he's doing.
He's a mover and a shaker.
He might forget he told us. So we'll see. We'll see about it.
We currently have 2,446 subscribers. So we are 4 subscribers away. We will have it for next week. We do the giveaways on Wednesday nights. Next Wednesday night, by the way, we're going to announce this ahead of time. Jen Glazer is ineligible to win any prizes. All right.
Sorry, Jen got retired from the prize closet.
Yes. So, we're we're going to give away 250. I'm going to guess that we're going to probably give away one 100 and 350s. That'll be 250.
I will also give away a Frog God game out of print to maybe never be reprinted games.
There you go.
And I also may give away a North Texas pack too. So we'll have those two. We'll have a Frog God game pack and a possibly North Texas game pack too.
So,
we're giving away a lot of pride. We're giving away a lot of goodies, man.
It's always a fun time on this channel. So
yeah, well, thanks to everybody for subscribing and look, we know what's going on now is pretty. Everybody wants to pop in, but thanks. We really appreciate everybody watching the show tonight and on Fridays and Saturdays. So
yeah, I am thrilled. And again, the best part was like somebody going earlier today, oh, you're just putting up videos because you're looking to make money off them. I'm like, I'm not even monetized this month. I'm not. This is the perfect month for me not to be monetized. I don't care. It allows me to curse my ass off if I need to when I read the stuff from Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? But like I said earlier, for those asking about the ORC license, I feel pretty confident we're going to get a license that's going to be usable and comfortable, and I don't expect a morality clause in it, since the person that first PM'd me about my video where I hypothesized that the ORC license could be tweaked by each publisher, that person is very high up on a chain for the ORC license. I'm not going to say their name because it could sound like it's an echo compared to my own. But it was interesting to be, corrected, and I was happy to be corrected. And I would assume I now have a direct, phone line, PM line, to get accurate information if I start hearing inaccurate information. So we'll go from that. Other than that, again, thank you all. And if you haven't subscribed yet, which means you haven't subscribed, because you got to be subscribed and commenting next week, because commenting gets you into the drawing for the goodies.
You must make statements.
You must make
just hello.
Even if I am behind, I could be like an hour behind on your statements. Makes no difference.
Yeah, we got software, man. Software will take care of that. It's awesome.
Yeah. So as usual, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. If you're on the Discord server for the Tenkar's Tavern, we do a hangout on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. in the Speakeasy. I believe I've lost track, but I believe that this Friday is Glenn Hallstrom and myself at 8 p.m. on Friday. Rich and I, 8 p.m. on Saturday for Gamers Health. All right.
Later.
That's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.